So how the hell are all you motherfuckers? So we're here with Jeff Lafferty. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Or? Yep, Jeff Lafferty.
Jeff's got a campaign going, and it's probably one of the most amazing things I've seen so far. It definitely, as far as like styles go, it definitely is indie. But it's one of the finest done indie books I've ever seen. It's fully painted. He painted each and every page. We're going to get in on his process a little bit on that. It's called the Berserkonaut. And let's go ahead and put this up here. Jeff is basically giving this goddamn thing away.
It's a charity project for everyone else but me.
And we talked a little bit about that. There's a strange trend, Jeff, and you're not the only one, dude. There was another guy that I ran across, and he was on the show the other day, Nandor, and he had another project that was fucking incredible, and he was selling it for way too cheap too, I think. He did an incredible amount of work and he was basically giving it away. And I think I don't know, because I was like this too when I first started doing this. It was something where it was like I almost felt guilty about making money off of my work. You know what I'm saying? Is that something that you suffer from a little bit? Like
No. I definitely don't have that problem.
I'm glad to hear that. Trust me. Like I'm very glad to hear that. But
I think the pricing was a combination of two things. I think wanting to fit into the mainstream industry and thinking I can get this into comic shops, so wanting to compete with the comic shop prices. And then I think also Alterna, and there was a lot of I was watching a lot of Alterna's just their way of looking at 99 Cent Comics, going back to newsprint, things like that. And that stuff.
I'm a big proponent of that, by the way.
Yeah.
Because as far as Peter and his plan for his company, the way he structured it, I'm totally down with what he's doing. But I also see things a little bit different too. The thing I love about Peter is that he's not greedy with his resources. He actually has a print co-op where he can he's willing to share his printers to do newsprint and stuff like that, and the prices are pretty incredible. But the thing with Peter is I think Peter has a company to go ahead and do all the legwork, where me and you, we kind of have to do that on our own, and I think in anything that takes us away from our desk, I think that's where it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
But no, I and your campaign has been running ever since 2018. So 2018, the comic the whole business was a completely different beast back then, and I think your plan was really good back then. You know what I'm saying? Because Diamond was in a good position, and
Diamond was still there. No, I think it was, since then, I think there's just a difference between crowdfunding on the web and also publishing and that whole idea of publishing comics for 99 cents, you have to like publish a lot of comics and have like wide distribution. And that's
Yeah.
almost the exact opposite of like what we have on the web, where we have like small audiences. And, you know, I mean, believe you me, it's like I've seen like campaign after campaign after campaign come along with like a different pricing structure. And like you were talking about earlier, like a little bit longer book for a little bit more. And, you know, people make more money off of like less backers than like I had. And, you know, it's, if I'd had it to do over, I would definitely do like, you know, a graphic novel for like $20 or something. But, you know, it is what it is. And I, you know, it was a learning experience. So, you know.
No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
It's, to me, it's just that you put so much work and there's so much talent in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I can't say that about every book on Indiegogo. You know?
Yeah.
No, I'm being straight. I mean, I'm being honest. Like even my even one of my books that I brought back from the dead from 2012 isn't up to this level of quality. I was pretty blown away by it.
I love your work, by the way. I want to just throw that out there.
Oh, thanks.
But I really am digging like what I see. I checked out your Indiegogos and stuff, and it's some good stuff. I really like it.
We're gonna have to trade art.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm up for that.
I'm always down for that. I want to kind of talk to you about Marvel a little bit. Like when you got your start at Marvel, right? Or did you get your start in the indies and then you kind of worked your way into Marvel? Or
yeah, I worked did some indie stuff. Like I worked for like Arrow Comics, and then I moved over to Malibu. This was all way back in the 90s, and a bunch of other little tiny companies that, you know, just didn't pay anything. Like I remember working a job and they paid me like $7 a page back then, you know.
Yeah.
But that's just what you did back then before the internet.
No, trust me, even after the internet, it was still it's pretty much like that. No, I get it, but I mean, I'm just looking at your stuff, Dave. Like this is pretty incredible. I mean, I'm seeing a little bit of Drew Struzan in here, where he uses the white color pencil to reinforce his white highlights. You know,
yeah. Struzan definitely was an influence. You know, Sam Key, Simon Bisley, Bernie Wright.
Exactly.
I mean, tons. You know, that's just all piled up like a big sandwich by now. So
I'm surprised. Marvel. I mean, did they even see your portfolio? Like your whole portfolio?
Yeah. Why would they hire me? No, they were even saying that back then. I think I snuck in. I snuck in with that sort of wave of guys that were sort of unusual, like Sam Keith.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing that in your style too, like especially in the Berserkonaut, you know,
because that was sort of the height of those guys, or Simon Bisley. And I did a couple. I mean, how it happened was I worked for Malibu, and I was working on a book called Lord Pumpkin, and that was right when Malibu sold.
I collected Lord Pumpkin, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I did, because I'll tell you exactly what I didn't know who you were back then, but I'll tell you exactly what attracted me to it was the art style on Lord Pumpkin like stood out from all the other crappy titles they were putting out at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like Lord Pumpkin and Prime were the two books that I was like, these are badass. And Norm's not with us anymore. You know, he passed away a while back.
I didn't know that. That's
well, he had a stroke and he lost the ability to draw. You know, like he was paralyzed on his right side.
Wow.
And I talked to him a little bit, but it was hard talking to him because he was in a bad place. You know,
yeah.
And I can't like any artist. I don't even think I can imagine like losing my drawing hand. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't, you know?
Yeah, that would be rough.
Yeah.
Taking away something you worked for your whole life. That'd be rough.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but especially somebody like Norm. And what tripped me out too, the worst thing about what happened to Norm is that Norm like was working on Batman. Like he did Arkham Asylum and all that kind of stuff. And he had nothing to fall back on when he lost his ability to draw. You know, he was, it was crazy. And there's something wrong with that.
Well, I know that's the curse of like that freelancer lifestyle, which, you know, like we're all in.
Yeah. There's no guarantees, but You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're just working. Yeah, I mean, I see it over and over again, and even myself. At times I worked as an artist, but then there was a whole bunch of times when I just worked, house painter, all these different normal jobs. And that's
Yeah.
like all of us, it's like when you're high, it's great. And then when you can't get work, it's like you're down, you're gone, you're out. I mean, that's what's kind of cool about the internet now, because you got to circumvent that a little bit.
Now this is my humble opinion on the whole landscape of what's going on, but to me, it seems like right now is the perfect time to create your IPs, and kind of grow your IPs a little bit. Because I think that's where your security is going to come in, like later on down the road. And that, like, tell us a little bit about Berserkonaut. What is this project all about?
Well, it's been a while since I did the spiel. I mean, the Berserkonaut's he's like a cyborg monster hunter, and he's also kind of a vigilante. He kind of interjects himself into things. Nobody really wants him there, but he shows up and starts.
Kind of like me, actually.
Exactly, yeah. And one night he goes to investigate some commotion at the museum, and ends up tangling with this guy, the Frankenborg. He's like this big monster Frankenstein type of guy, and that's kind of the first book. And then the Frankenborg steals like an artifact from the museum, and that kind of starts this mystery of like why these artifacts are being like stolen. And then, it circles back around to like a whole end of the world type thing. I don't know. Is that's probably bad. I didn't really do that very well. I kind of forgot what the whole damn that was about, but I forgot my spiel. It's been a long time since I really threw it out there. It's going
to be terrible for a second issue. Like if you can't remember the first issue.
Well, no, I know what happens for sure. But, I used to have the pitch going there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it is. He's like a cyborg monster hunter, and there's like a lot of monster fighting through it. And then there's kind of this mystery that that brings about the end of the world, and that's what the book's about. And then there's a second book or a second series. So somehow we get out of the end of the world at the end. So
how many pages are you into the second book?
I think I'm about like 16 pages in. So I mean, it is.
It's almost done.
Yeah, it's not like miles away. But I keep getting sidetracked off on these other projects. I did like a little 7-page story for this anthology. It was a Berserkonaut story. This anthology I was in it's called the 100 Days Anthology, which was an anthology of guys who did the 100 Days of Comics Challenge. I don't know if you know about that on YouTube. No, but I did that at one point. So I thought, I'll get an anthology. So that took up some time. Then I did like an animated like intro for my YouTube channel, and I just been going everywhere. Now I'm kind of working on this like Western thing that I might crowdfund. So it's like, I hate to be like like.
Oh, you got another book that you're.
You
got another book that you're thinking about crowdfunding?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, no, not possibly. I mean, it's definitely happening, but it's me and another guy, Gibran. We're gonna do kind of an anthology book together, but in theory this shouldn't. Well, I don't know, it's already kind of getting in the way of the Berserkonaut a little bit. Eventually I'll get back to the Berserkonaut though. Like next month it's coming out, but
no, I'm just saying I really
a couple months ago, and there's just been a lot of stuff that have stopped it. So
yeah, I really want to see this. Cool. I want to see more come of it. And we got Brian Criscow with us. Brian,
what up? A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Lafferty. I can't say that I've been familiar with your work in the past, but this looks amazing. And well, look, here's the thing. All of us have like a certain sweet spot, right? Where we're suckers for certain things. And this just kind of goes check, 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 check for me impressing, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Artwork looks absolutely amazing, and your book should be reaching more people.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's hard to do that on the internet, though. It's hard to figure out where those.
I'm telling you, it's not. We just got to get you hooked up with the right.
You did this, Dracula 1972 AD, Christopher Lee, and of course the lovely Caroline Munro. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he's
Hammer
got kind of a Bruce
time.
Gruson type of feel to his work. Like I really like that. Like that shit is awesome. And that's all on watercolor paper, or is that on Masonite or something like that?
Yeah, that's it's MDF is what that one's on. But yeah, sometimes I do watercolor paper. I switch around, but that one that just happens to be MDF, I believe.
Oh man, did you have you done any other Hammer stuff?
Trying to think.
I mean, I just ask because I'm like, a Hammer.
Yeah, he's a huge Hammer horror.
That was a commission, so I can't think of anything at the moment, but I might have.
Well, you knocked that one out of the park, that's for sure.
Oh, thanks. That was, how I kind of got back into art was, after comics, and then like the bust in the 90s, I was kind of out and just, working normal jobs. And eventually the internet came along and I started selling like sketch cards and stuff. And so I started doing like movie art and, and I still do it, but now I'm kind of getting back into comics again too. So.
Fantastic.
I honestly do not see why Marvel didn't just pay you to go ahead and paint the book. I'm saying, I mean, they do that for so many other artists. Like they did it for Sam Keith, they did it for Bisley and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know where you were at with your style, like when you were working with Marvel, but
there was just never like that kind of. I don't know. It was always like, okay, who's the inker going to be? Like with Doom, that was the thing, and I don't know. I always had inkers, and I always that's why I felt like I never really got anything good out when I worked for Marvel. And I think I'm not blaming it all on the inkers, but it had something to do with it, I think, so. Yeah.
I mean, even that right there, I know what you're saying, because I'm not a big inker proponent, like I don't think my work looks good when it's filtered by an inker, and I think it always looks better when I have a hand in it, or if it's just straight pencils and the colorist just goes over the pencils.
That's what I like.
Even this cover right here, this cover's fantastic. Like I just dig it. It's got kind of a Kyle Holtz type of feel to it, but
right,
I like this stuff.
Yeah, like it's got that touch of cartoony and extended proportions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to pick some of this up. I don't how much comic work. How much besides Lord Punkin and Doom 2999 did you put any other creator-owned properties out there that you like? I mean, besides Berserkonaut, did you have any other creator-owned properties that you published?
No, I didn't. I tried to get one through Image, which back then I called Legend of Wolf, but they ended up not taking it. But I went to Image with this book called Hung on the Range, which I was working for like an animation company, this company called Matinee at the time. And so they set the whole deal up, and then we did the book for them. And that was called Hung on the Range. And then after that, I was trying to get kind of a deal with this like Legend of Wolf comic, which is kind of like the story I've had forever. I did some stop motion with it after a while and stuff, but I couldn't get the deal going. And also right at that time was like kind of the crash, the 90s crash. It just like took it out right there. I think that was part of it, so, but that was as close to any kind of creator-owned thing I ever tried to get out on my own. So
no, I know what you're talking about as far as the crash goes. Like it was a really bad time to actually try to get hired as an artist, and it was that crash almost didn't end. You know what I'm saying? Like it kept going.
It was so bad that it looked like the industry, not just the industry, but the medium would disappear. Yeah. That suddenly it would be like there's just no more comics, which would be like suddenly there's no more movies, suddenly there's no more novels, suddenly there's no more records, right? And for those that don't know the history, what happened was you had the speculator market, right? So Marvel was selling like 2 million copies of like X-Men #1, but that didn't mean that there were 2 million readers. That meant that they were like people that were buying like multiple copies because they're like, ooh, this is going to be like worth something in a while. And which is insane because, of course, what makes a comic worth something is its scarcity, right? So then the speculators kind of went, oh, action figures, and left the comic book medium, and of course they chased away all the fans because they were catering to the speculators and not the fans, and suddenly boom, the bottom dropped out, and that was
it was crazy.
Oh man, I mean,
I want to get a little bit in technique. We're going to talk nerd talk when it comes to paint.
I love this stuff.
What do you use? Is it watercolor? Is it acrylic? Is it oils? Or is it all three?
It is not so much watercolor, but acrylics and oils. That piece you're looking at right now, that's oil on board. Yeah. And like with the Berserkonaut, it's acrylics over like Sharpies and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I was watching your video, and you're actually painting the Berserkonaut while you're talking. Like, how long does it take you to go ahead and get a piece done? Like, to do the cover, how long did it take you to do the cover?
Well, about 2 days on the cover. That's kind of a what I shoot for usually with a painting. So like one. So day,
not 30 seconds is what you're saying.
No. It takes me a while. But yeah, I mean, I always try to, draw one day and paint one the next. So, like some people are just more complex. Sometimes it takes you a little longer.
No. I totally get that. And I got a feeling that the style you used on Berserkonaut was basically like a style just based in speed that you were using to go ahead and get those pages done, maybe.
Yeah. I tried to do like a 90s comic, like kind of like what I thought of like we were doing back in the 90s, like the one I felt like I should have done back then. And so that's how I tried to do it, which I know I've got like different styles and all this kind of stuff. I really have no interest in doing like a realistic comic. And it's sort of developed and kind of honed down into what it is now. But like in the beginning, as you can see, man, it's like so rendered on some of those early pages, it's just like pulling out all the stops. But yeah, it's definitely faster.
That you used with it. I think it's badass. It's definitely reminiscent of Bisley and Sam Keith.
Yeah, sure is.
I'm totally down with it. The medium you used was, what is it called again? That you used for the pages for Berserkonaut?
Well, I mean, it's acrylic paint, and then I ink it with like Sharpies and.
I'm sorry, the material you use, like the paper, or was it?
Oh, well, no, MDF. Yeah, that one painting was on MDF. The Berserkonaut pages are actually on just paper, since there's like so many of them. Like, it's just, where's my camera? Like the cheaper copy paper, because it's just like
wow, you did on copy paper?
Yeah. I do. I like to draw that stuff. I see that's the thing. When I did the comic, I didn't want it to be like precious and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna bust this thing out.
No, I'm just amazed that you got that type of, you pulled that out of copy paper.
I know.
It's like the nicest,
the easiest thing to work with.
No shit. and you said that you were inking like what using a Sharpie over the acrylics?
Well, no, I usually ink underneath, so I'll do like the ink drawing.
Oh.
I'll do Sharpies and that, and then when I paint, I don't know. Somebody once, when I was talking to somebody else, he said, "Well, you just paint around all your lines."
Jeff,
I guess that's what I do. I don't know. I paint, and I don't really ever go back and re-ink, but I just.
You want to show them, Jeff? We can show them if you want.
I one of the things I really loved about this video was watching your process, because it's captivating.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let's play the video. Let's see what Jeff's up to over here.
What up, John?
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Lafferty.
hi. What's
my comic book, The Berserkonaut, issue #1, and I'm trying to get $3,500 to do it. Cue the intro.
Wow.
All right, so my comic book is The Berserkonaut, as I said, and the first issue is finally done. So it's time to bring this comic to life. And my goal with this comic is to not only self-publish it on the internet and make it available for sale to fans to order directly, but I'd like to submit it to the comics distributor Diamond and get it into comic shops. So to do that, I need to do a pretty major print run and get the comic price down so that I can actually sell it through comic shops at a discount. So that means I need to print about 2,500 comics at minimum. So to do that, I'm going to need about $2,100. So going through Diamond is tough, and it's hard for a new comic to break out and to get any kind of attention. And also it's hard to convince retailers to buy your comic. So I have a plan to kind of get around that. I have the names of about 300 indie-friendly comic shops, and I'm planning on mailing them a physical comic before my comic goes into catalogs. And to do that, I need about another $1,000. So anyway, that leaves me in a position where I'm here asking for money. The first issue of the comic is completely done. The files are poised and ready to go to the printer. I'm painting the cover right here in this video. I have most of the original art for the comic, and I'm going to offer that as a reward for your pledges. The rewards break down like this. The comic is $3.99. Pledge $3.99, you get the book. $20, I'll give you a signed copy. $35, I'll do a signed copy with a head sketch. And for $150, you can get a copy of the book and some original art from the comic. And for $200, I'll paint an original piece for you in the style of the comic. Thanks for watching this. I hope that I can bring this comic to life. It's been a lot of work and effort. I did comics back in the 90s. I did comics like Doom 2099. I was on some of the X-Men books. I did a book called the Ascani X-Men, X-Men Millennium, and Phoenix Resurrection, things like that. When I was in comics the first time, I felt like I never could accomplish what I wanted to do in comics. The production line kind of Marvel system of like inkers and pencilers and all that kind of stuff just didn't work for me. It didn't work for my art style. Now I'm doing it all myself, trying to make this book like my unique vision, my idea of like what like a 90s kind of fun comic was to me. And that's what I'm trying to put out to you guys. So I hope you guys want to get on board and help me make this thing, help me get it into comic shops and all that stuff. So thank you very much for watching. See ya.
And that's Jeff, 2 years younger.
Yeah.
He was such a young man back then.
I was so hamming it up in that video. My God.
What's up, John? The buckler.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me? Is my mic working right now?
Your mic is working.
Oh, thank God.
I'm trying to match your voice.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of interested in the Berserkonaut until I saw like all this like Frankenstein stuff, and I don't know, man. I'm just not really like a Frankenstein kind of a guy any more than any more than Preston is. You know, so sorry, but
the whole book's based on Frankenstein.
was kind of a deal breaker. No, of course I backed that shit immediately when Preston sent me the link.
I'm completely amazed that this is done on copy paper.
I know, that blows my mind. It's not exactly the most resilient medium, is it?
Is the buckler done on copy paper?
Is what?
The buckler's done on the World Wide Web digitally.
Oh, digital, yeah.
I mean, seriously, I'm sorry. I just got to ask. Copy paper, doesn't that warp?
That's why it's got to tape to a board. Yeah.
No, I get that.
If you don't know what you're doing, it warps. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It does warp, yeah. I always got my hair dryer, splatting it back out.
Is the cover itself on copy paper?
Yeah, it actually is.
That's amazing.
Damn.
I know, right?
It was a hell of a lot of water I saw you putting on the background for that copy paper.
Yeah. It's like the thicker, it's like the color copy paper, so it's a little thicker. You know what I mean?
Ah, so you're cheating.
Not exactly.
Oh man, well you can't argue with the results. That's for damn sure.
Oh my God, you now like on one of your tiers, you said that you can get one of the panels from the Berserkonaut So did you paint into each panel individually and just put them all together? Like
I did. Yeah, in general. There's a couple where there's two panels like side by side and stuff, but in general they're all separate, and I put them all together in Photoshop and lettered the thing, So, and a lot of the panels, like, I should warn guys, it's like a lot of the good panels out of the comic are kind of gone. So, like what I send now, I know. But no, I did like an animated like intro thing for my YouTube where the Berserkonauts like fighting and all this stuff. And then I also have a lot of panels from like the second book. So I send that now instead of like the panels from the first book because, just they were so picked over. It's been a while since this was up. So
I can imagine the cover's going too. The cover's
the cover went
sold immediately.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff, and the prices, my goodness, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Jeff's a little low on.
Yeah, man. You think especially for original art?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that? Yeah,
and let me tell you something about our backers, man. They love original art.
That's one thing I can say, Jeff. Like everything in my book is done traditionally, except for the coloring. And the reason is because I see a major deficit in the original art, like as far as like the people want to collect original art, but there's none out there because everything's done digitally now, right. And it's done for efficiency, but I don't see how that's possible. I'm saying I think it's done not really for efficiency, but for the editor's approval, so that they can make any changes they want whenever they want it, so that and they're not scared to make you go ahead and like redo like an eye, or because it's digital. You can just erase that shit on a computer and just redo it. But I like original art because there's a whole different income bracket yet you can put yourself in if you just do original art.
And plus, it's a shame. It's an honest to goodness shame that there are people that are producing these incredibly beautiful works of art, but it's on a disc somewhere. You can't put it on a wall, it's and depreciate it in the physical realm. So it's to me digital art. And I'm not knocking people that work in the digital medium, of course.
No. I think digital has its place. But
it's a shame.
More artists should try to do. I know like John did his cover, the Berserker. The Buckler cover in like traditionally, right? Like
it's an acrylic painted cover on canvas. Yeah. And I got and what I did was I pulled out from the book itself, like the script. I pulled out like the 10 I thought were going to be the best big splash pages and did those traditionally.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I got another buddy of mine, and he's like, you always got to have an original. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay if you want to pencil it and then scan it in and ink it, or if you want to pencil it in a computer and just print it out and ink it, but you have to have an original. Like, that's his motto, and he sells every original he gets, like I don't imagine there's too many pieces left for the Berserkonaut. I think, like you said, you got to be at the skeletal level now, like as far as like what you got left over from that book.
Well, there's I have a lot of the second book though. You know what I mean? I haven't got much into that one. Most of them went on the first campaign and then it got pretty thin. But yeah, like since then I've, painted so many new panels. I got some cool stuff again, but it was getting pretty down there.
Like
down to like a hand on a doorknob or something. I can't give that to anybody.
Like for that second campaign, like I would suggest you combine the two books and just up the price on it, and that way you're not, because you should be in a whole different. I mean, how many backers do you have? Like,
I got about 300.
Yeah, 350. That's damn good, dude.
It is. It is. The number next to the 350 should be a lot higher. Don't you think, Preston?
No, I totally agree. I just,
Well, I agree. I've had so many conversations like behind the scene, offline, where it's just been the same thing. It's like, I fully kind of agree. I think like if you're gonna do crowdfunding, really like that sweet spot is like that $20-$25.
Yeah, it's just you have to have
because you just don't have the distribution that you do, or like Marvel Comics does or something, you know. So like
Well,
to take
that's
it down
what I tell
real low.
everybody. Like Marvel's got a whole team, you know, that's
That
just
too.
there to go ahead and ship it out, or just there to letter the book, or just there to, you know, do anything they need done. They got a team of people on it, you know, where, you know, the even if the book makes no money whatsoever, everybody's still getting paid. And
Yeah.
we're not that. Now M. Flem, he has a good point. I'd love to see it too, like a Berserkonaut toy.
Yeah, them Fleming's trolling me. No, you know, that's my friend Mike Fleming, and it's kind of a joke because he is sculpted these little minifigures of the Berserkonaut, which I don't have them here. But they're
My address is
they're very cool. Yeah, maybe you can throw a link in the chat or something. And but you know, they are like intended for the next campaign. So
I like Hex Harper's
that'd be
comment
awesome.
right
I'm
here.
down with that. In fact, you know, anybody that's wondering, the link is in the description of the video. So for the Berserkonaut, so you guys can check it out there. And I am putting it in the chat right now.
cool.
So I'm very shitty on getting that out there, but there you go.
seriously, folks, check this out. This is a buried treasure,
But,
and my goodness, man, you're letting it go for cheap.
Yeah.
I like Hex Harper's comment. He says that's like writing Paradise Lost on a napkin.
Yeah.
Toilet paper going back and forth. I was in jail. I had to write Paradise Lost on a napkin. No.
That's artist for you, though, man. They'll do funky stuff sometimes. I love that story about Zeta like having to rip off a piece of his floor.
Well, Kevin Eastman said that Simon Bisley, whenever he commissioned Simon Bisley for covers or anything like that, he said there's no telling what you're going to get in. You may get the back of an art pad, like the cover of an art pad, like the back of it, and it'll have the illustration on it, and he just mails that to you. Like, he does not care, dude. Like, he'll type in paper. He'll take a piece of box. You know what I'm saying? Just paint it right on the fucking cardboard box.
That's pretty awesome.
And send it into you. But that just goes to show like that level of talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
exactly.
There's no barriers as far as what he can use to go ahead and do his artwork on. And I mean, Jeff, I'm glad to say it, but you know, it looks like, I mean, if you did this whole book on typing paper, I have to fucking hats off, dude.
Seriously. That's amazing.
It's a little sick of the typing paper, but yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking incredible. Yeah.
Well, you know what? When I did the second one, I was like, okay, enough with this copy paper. I need to do it.
Yeah, because it'll ride.
Yeah, you know, I get a lot of comments like that. And then I did like one. I painted like the first page of the second book, you know, like 10 by 15, like a normal, you know, comic book artist. And I was like, it's just too hard. I just don't like. I just don't like that. I like to just get something done when I sit down and do it. So I'm doing these big things. I spend like day after day, and then I start going, oh.
I don't think you need to do it big. I just think you need to do it on a better medium. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you never know where the inspiration is going to strike you and what you have to work on. Like, I remember it was big news because like the California Institute of Fine Arts had like this sub basement area that got damaged during an earthquake, and there was a bunch of doodles and stuff all over the bottom from the former students, and a lot of them were Tim Burton's original concept stuff for like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Get out of here!
And when they repaired all the cracks and stuff, they just painted over everything. People were furious, you know, because it was like one of those unknown things. But it was like, you know, you had an idea, just put it somewhere, wherever you got, you know.
That's crazy, dude. Like, I don't. One of the things that I stopped doing was using sketchbooks. You know, like I stopped using sketchbooks like fucking maybe 10 years ago or something like that. And I'll take like a bunch of copy paper. I'll just do quick sketches on them and use that to kind of get my ideas out there. But I think what got me off of sketchbooks was I lost every one of my sketchbooks from when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like in a flood. And I was like, well, fuck that. I ain't doing that anymore. You know? That sucks.
That's brutal.
But
I that same thing. I had to stop drawing in sketchbooks because I was just like, you just do all this great stuff in a sketchbook that you never put out, and they just take up so much time, And
that's when you're learning,
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, like, when I was learning and I was using sketchbooks, maybe there was pressure to make every page count, because you didn't want like 5 good sketches in a sketchbook and then the rest is just trying to practice circles or some shit like that. So, or if you got a really, really nice sketchbook, because I got this one where the cover was like this etched, embossed like fucking rock, and the back cover was the same thing. It was a super gothic sketchbook, right? And immediately I fucked up the first couple of pages. Like, it sucks, dude. And it was like that big. It's like comic board when comic book came out, and it's all blue lined and everything like that. That shit was so intimidating. I had to flip it over to do work on the back because I didn't want to screw up the comic board itself.
Yeah,
understandable.
No, I find the sketchbooks to be worthless in the sense that, like, it's a sketchbook, so you're not trying to do a finished piece right off the hop when you sit down on it. Like, I'll pull out a piece of Bristol and be like, all right, and just start sketching on it.
Yeah,
like exactly. Nothing. You know what I mean? And then if it comes out good, okay, then I'll put a border on the upper left-hand corner where I drew this picture, and I'll put it on the table, get a razor blade and a ruler, and just after the picture, But when you're working on this as sketch paper, it's almost like, what's the point? Because even if you do it well, you're gonna have to put it on better paper anyway if you want to try to sell it or something.
I knew guys that would like, they would do this massive art piece inside of a sketchbook, right? I mean, fully painted, and I'm like, fuck that, dude! Like, that's way too much pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, Jeff and probably John, like both of you guys, like, did you ever do cons, like, Comic Cons and shit like that, where you were like an artist guest or anything like that? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did back. Yeah.
Did you ever have somebody bring you a sketchbook and be like, hey, do something in my sketchbook, I'll pay you like $100 or whatever? I would do that. But I would also flip through to see what my competition's like, and then I'd be like, okay, I got to be better than all these fuckers, But some of those dudes would literally do the fucking Mona Lisa on a 2-page spread. I'm not lying, dude. I'm talking like acrylic paint, fucking go in and then they'll give the guy the sketchbook and be like, all right, give it a day to dry or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and like, once I see shit like that, honestly, when artists do that, it kind of takes the pressure off of me because I know I'm not doing anything that good. I'm not wasting like 2 days, like this whole convention doing one piece in a sketchbook. But yeah, I mean, it was some crazy shit like that, dude.
I used to draw things for people, and if something came out particularly good, pull out my phone, just take a picture of it, and here you go. Just so I can do it later.
I used to do that too. Like, fuck, dude. I mean, some of these guys are fucking crazy. I mean, I want to give you the best possible work too. I just don't want to go broke while doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And but yeah, dude, like sketchbooks are. I've got a couple, but they just basically sit there. Like I don't do anything with them.
I think too.
I'm gonna be honest. The main thing I use my sketchbook paper for is kind of fucked up. Is I'll rip out a page and I'll use it as a blocker for my hand as I'm doing an actual page.
I've done that too, and I also use them to balance my desk, like my table.
Yes.
Yeah, I went to just like using just like normal like lined notebooks for my sketches, just so I won't get all caught up with something in there and have to get out a piece of paper to finish it up.
Oh my god, dude, I've lost so many of those. Like that's some of the I consider those some of the early sketchbooks that I had when I was a kid. The lawn notebooks. Like I'd get my mom to buy a bunch of those, and I just start fucking doing whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I've it's weird though. Like once you graduate to a different, a different type of paper, a different tooth. You know, it's a better tooth, it's thicker and stuff like that. Like those lawn notebooks, just you can't do it anymore. Well, I couldn't, you know. And I mean, you'd probably just paint like half the Berserkonaut on it or some shit. I just couldn't do it. Like it was, and it was like that. I'm like right now I'm used to using like the super smooth Bristol board, you know, to do all my comic work on. And then somebody got me like I told them to order a certain type of Bristol if they want me to do their book, and they got the heavy tooth. like that's the exact opposite. Right here.
Like I'm so intimidated by this. I haven't even cracked this open yet. Like this is $24.99 for 12 pages.
What is that? Is that a sketchbook or is that
like that heavy duty watercolor?
No, it's like watercolor paper.
Oh wow. Okay.
I was gonna do it like a little children's ink and watercolor wash kind of thing, but I haven't. I'm actually terrified of because that's
right. Because if you fuck up, you can't just go, oh well, just rip a page out, crumple, crumple, crumple.
No.
You ever try to crumple one of those pages? You'll cut your hand.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah. Oh man,
it's crazy, dude. Like it's we've delved so far into the artist nerdom right now, the geekdom of art. It's
like for something like Michelangelo, they got this big giant piece of like beautiful, perfect marble, and they just hit it the wrong way. Chink! Oh fuck.
Yeah, like I'll have to be, dude. I think it's OCD. I think a lot of it has to do with OCD and anxiety and stuff like that, because my OCD won't let me do that. You know what I'm saying? Like it won't allow me to dive into a sketchbook and have one fucked up page.
Right. I don't know if that's OCD so much as that is, personal pride. You know?
No, it's OCD. Trust me. That's like, you just can't let it go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that one page, and then if I rip it out, then that's one less page in the sketchbook. Yeah, it's this vicious circle.
Here's a question for you artists: sketchbook pads, when you do buy them, is there ever a spot where you got comfortable working with a hardback sketchbook, like a hardcover, or is it always just something that I've never been able to actually work in? I've bought many because I want to feel fancy, you know?
That's why I bought them. That's exactly why I bought them. Yeah, because I wanted to put them on a bookshelf, you know? And I was like, this would be your blah, 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 Preston Acevedo or whatever. It never worked out that way, dude. You know?
I love the ones with the ringed binders, you know, that you can flip all the way around. Those are the ones that I use the most.
His wife loves to do binding. You know what I'm saying? Like not bondage, but binding. You know what I'm saying?
like phone binding?
Yeah, like binding. You know, she goes to Hobby Lobby and she likes to do print work and stuff like that, like buy all that stuff and do it by hand, you know? So what he would do is he would do all these pieces of art and give it to her, and she would bond it into a book, you know? And it's some of the coolest shit I've ever seen, because he would do it on all different types of paper and shit, and she would just make it into one book. And I'm like, wow, dude, that's crazy. That's really cool. Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the craziest sketchbooks I ever saw was Steve Root. I don't know if you guys have ever got a chance to look at any of his stuff. He carries one.
Who's that? No, I'm kidding.
But he carries around those, black hardback sketchbooks, and I guess he's got tons of them. And I was like flipping through it one time when I was out in San Diego, and he had like oil paintings inside these things. I mean, they're just
that's the asshole I'm talking about.
Exactly.
That's the little prick going around and doing everybody else's sketchbooks like that.
Dude, fucking shit up for you.
But I almost think that's kind of a, because like if he does have like that amount of work, like just like the shelves and shelves of those sketchbooks, it's like you want to see them. It's like you almost like publish those things or something, because he doesn't really have that much work out there.
From what I understand, like he tried to get out of comics, though, didn't he? Like,
he did. I don't know. This was back in the day, so
he tried to get into fine art. Like he was so late on his comic projects because he's such a perfectionist. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll be like, "Well, I'm stuck on this one panel. I can't get the fall right or whatever. I don't know."
Perfect.
Yeah. Like so many of those amazing artists, like someone like Brian Boland, for instance.
Yeah.
could only do covers because I mean, I remember like we were waiting for the Killing Joke like forever.
Yeah.
Like it just like, kept getting moved back further and further and further. You know what I'm saying? It was it became like a joke. Oh, you think the Killing Joke's going to be there this week? You know?
Well, Steve Rude, from what I understand, like he tried to make that crossover from because he was always an excellent painter. You know what I'm saying? And but he tried to cross over into fine art. But there's a stigma that goes along. I mean, I don't know if it's still unspoken, but it was very loud back in the day. Like if you did comics, you were garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't an artist. You know, you're a fake artist or whatever. And I got a lot of that back in the day because I was like, I want to do comics. Why you want to do that trash? You know, you should do fine art and all kinds of shit like that. But I never had any respect for fine artists. You know what I'm saying? Like I just didn't because I just never seen the point of spending 34 hours, 36 hours painting a bowl of fruit. I just don't get it, dude. I'm sorry. Like I would want to paint hell or something. You know?
American artists moved to France because their comic book art is considered, imagine this, art.
Yeah, well, that's the problem when Steve Rude tried to move into the fine art field is that I think he carried that stigma along with him, and he never made any money as a fine artist.
It was that way for writers too. I remember, like, you know, my girlfriend loved watching Law and Order, and I would see Jerry Conway's name. I was like, oh, that's the same name as the guy that used to write like the old horror comics, like Tomb of Dracula and Werewolf by Night, shit that I loved when I was a kid. Then I've come to find out it's the same Jerry Conway.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He said, like in an interview, he's like, yeah, man, like that was a resume stain. I left that stuff off.
Yeah. Like if you would have came up to him and be like, hey, Jerry Conway, like, keep walking, kid. Keep walking. Talk to me.
But now it's something.
It's crazy. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know. Werewolf by Night. What is that?
This kid's not making any fucking
I watched this documentary on Drew Struzan, the guy that does the paintings for the movie posters and all that. And like the thing was, like, if you're doing something like that has like real big like cultural touchstones, you're doing these big things, and again, his stuff wouldn't be considered like, you know, high art or fine art. You know what I mean? It's just art.
Well, the thing with Drew Struzan,
you know what I mean? And the thing is, once he left that, once he got to the point where he could, you know, essentially name his price, making, you know, 7 figures per image. And once he started doing his own stuff, nobody cared. You know, his personal fine art stuff. Nobody gives two shits. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you did a picture of your daughter and leaves falling behind her, and I don't care, dude. Draw some Star Wars stuff. You know, like, and the thing is, because
do Back to the Future again.
Yeah. Because if you're doing those things that because you know, art is work essentially. You know, and if you're doing it for work and these things become popular and stuff, people care. Yeah, like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen probably is that the painting he did for the Hook cover. You know, it's gorgeous.
Dude, that was gorgeous. Yeah, you know? No, like, but Drew Struzan, from what I understand, he never knew he was famous. Like he was hiding in his basement doing, you know, like, dude, why don't you do a show?
Kind of a weirdo,
but like, oh, why you want me at a show? You know what I'm saying? Like, I fucking did movie posters, and he goes over there, and there's a line circled around a convention center waiting to meet him, and he's like, "This is fucking strange."
Yeah, there was one guy I know who really made the transition, and was it John Totalman? Is that who I'm thinking of? It was because I remember also, like, Neil Gaiman actually directed a short film that was about him, and he was a guy that was you know, accepted in the galleries in England at least, and I'm sure in France, like I said, in other countries where they actually consider what you guys do to be legitimate art.
Well, Jeff, let me ask you something.
I'm gonna look that up.
I'm gonna be straight, dude. Like, I'm looking at your portfolio on ArtStation. And did you ever try to get into galleries or anything like that?
I did. Yeah, like, but that was kind of, you know, pre-internet, when I'm kind of just trying to figure out how to sell anything anymore. You know what I mean? And like my experience in like with the galleries and stuff is that they were like the real scam, because, like, you know, you think there's like people just faking it in comics, sort of trying to pretend to be a comic book artist, like in the whole fine art world, that's like everybody working for like nothing. Most of them are just like, you know, ladies painting flowers
Well, that was my experience too, actually. Like
Exactly.
my experience with fine art was it was basically like when I was brought into that, it was a bunch of educated artists that really didn't have talent. They had an education behind their name, and they could tell you why their work was good when you obviously knew their work wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, well, you don't understand. You know, this is good because it's reminiscent of Rembrandt's blah blah blah. You know,
Right,
something like that.
There's that whole side of it too.
And and then they would sit around blowing up each other's egos up and wonder when are they going to sell their next paint, you know? And it was this weird thing, and it almost, like you said, it almost became like a money laundering type of thing, you know? Like you know,
a racket for sure.
Yeah, like they would buy stuff, but it would turn into like some kind of write-off or something like that, or I don't know, you know, it was weird, you know, like, but it was. There's very few, from my experience, there was very few people that I've seen that had real talent in the fine art field. You know, most of these people were able to talk themselves up.
Yeah. And to really get super famous, like to actually get, you know, I mean, there's just so few, you know, there's hardly anybody that is really super famous as like a fine artist. And those guys are really like, you know, weirdo abstract types, or then you got the other side that are maybe like, you know, like the guys who do the prints, they kind of like caught on there for a while, like the street scenes with all the lights, or like Bev Doolittle and the horses that mix in with the mountains and things like that. And you see those prints everywhere. But even those guys aren't really even accepted in the, like the fine art thing. It's all just, I don't know. I really wasn't into it.
I just checked the Internet Movie Database, and it wasn't John Totalbin I was thinking of. It was John Bolton.
Oh, John.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like evidently he's making bank selling paintings of like nude vampire women.
Oh, really?
That's like a big thing. Yeah, and he's accepted evidently in the fine arts world. I mean, the term fine art always drove me crazy because it's, you know, it's segregating art. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying, oh well, that's just trash, and this is the great stuff, and it just, you know, if it's good, it's good. If it's,
I think that stigma. I think there's nothing they can really do about it anymore, because now you got Kirby in museums, you know, galleries. You got, you know, all those old guys, like even Walter Simonson, like his stuff is in there. You know, Kurt
this
Swan.
Is not an issue. This is not an issue. People will tell me like, that, you know, you go over there and you see comic book art everywhere, and you can go, and of course it's mainstream entertainment. Like they sell comic books in the bookstores. I mean, that's the bookstores in supermarkets.
Alex Ross's work is he's got whole galleries dedicated to his stuff.
Absolutely.
But that's
Bernie should have too. Do you know what I'm saying? Bernie writes it. Oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was practically broke when he died. That's a disgrace.
But did you see this comment here by one of your people here talking about Samuel L. Jackson and Unbreakable? How good did that feel when you were watching that movie to see him defend comic book art in a gallery?
Well, he's one of us. He's one of us. He's a comic book guy, you know, always has been, evidently.
Well, he wasn't about to be a comic. He was about to be a Sue and Marvel guy, and today we're like, hey, why don't you play?
Oh no, well, actually, Mark Millar and he are friends. And Mark Millar had him drawn into Ultimate Avengers
Samuel L. Jackson pushed a lawsuit because of that.
Did he really?
Marvel. Yeah, and then they were like, well, just wait a minute. Like, how about we bring you into the MCU, you know, as
choice,
you know, as Nick Fury? And he was like, okay, I'll do that. Lawsuit dropped. You know, but I'm looking at your stuff, and I can tell you right now, like one thing that those guys, the reason why I think those guys made it to galleries and stuff like that, like especially Alex Ross, is because they won. You couldn't get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? Like they were so popular, it didn't matter how many times you tried to cancel them and say your art's garbage. Like you just couldn't. There was no getting rid of them. And I'm looking at this painting, dude. I mean, this should be a cover for fucking The Shadow. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Like this is nuts.
Gorgeous.
I just don't know. I just don't get it. Like, I don't know why Marvel never held on to you to try and get you to keep doing covers for them, or do covers for them, or anything like that. Like, did they see any of this stuff when you?
Not really. I mean, a lot of, like back then when I was at Marvel, I was just doing black and white art. I didn't really start painting until like the internet came around. And, I always painted, but it just wasn't, anywhere, like we said, in sketchbooks and stuff like that. And that's kind of when I started painting and was trying to sell stuff, fan art was
beautiful,
catching on. So I started doing stuff like that, And then eventually the comics bug bites me again. And
what have you got planned for the future?
The Berserkonaut 2, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, also after that, are there any other projects that you're thinking about doing, or?
I am doing an anthology book with a friend of mine, Jibrin Redinger, and it's we got a tentative name. I don't know if we'll keep this name, but it's called The Horrible Tales of Gore, where we can just kind of throw some short stories.
Sold. Take my money, please.
Yeah. Anyway, that's definitely coming out this year for sure. Probably like in a few months, really.
Awesome.
And the Berserkonaut 2. And I really want to just keep doing comics. I really love doing comics. And it's, for a while, like I just moved, so I kind of got behind in my commissions, and I was like, cranking on the commissions every day, and I kind of stopped working on the comic stuff. And I just really realized, I'm like, man, it's like I love comics too much. I just have to keep doing comics because it's like that's just what I like. It's what I wanted to do in the beginning, and so
the passion comes across on the page. You can't fake the funk, man. Can't fake the funk.
Can't fake the funk.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that title because I'm Jeff Lafferty and I'm a comic creator. Hi, Jeff.
And I do not fake the funk.
Have you thought about putting out an art book or something like that? Because that's my next move for myself. Anyway, like for next year, I'm going to be getting a mark book out. I mean, an art book out there, not a mark book, an art book out there.
That'll be a great one. I'll love to see that. I do have I do have like an art book of just my like fan art type stuff. So I did a while ago, but I probably should do another one.
I'm saying, like, I'd love to see that. Like, I'd love to own it, to be quite honest. Like, you should maybe think about doing a Indiegogo campaign for something like that as well. I mean,
absolutely,
because this stuff just can't be on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have to own this type of,
Are any of you guys? I mean, speaking of that being on the internet and your artwork being on the internet, are any of you guys taking your comics into the shops? I just have
here's the deal.
Curiosity.
The market, to me, this is my opinion. You're probably going to hear other people with different opinions, but in my opinion, comic shops, they had a chance, right? When Marvel was putting out movies and different things like that. Like it would have been nothing for Marvel to put out a book with your movie ticket, and you could have
suck in the gut, Brian.
Right.
Got the sword.
Like they could have helped like brick and mortar shops to go ahead and thrive when Iron Man and all that kind of stuff was.
Oh my God!
But instead of doing that, what they did was they didn't think about them. Like there was no compassion there, and for some odd reason, the comic shops, they weren't looking at the indie market. They were doubling down with whatever Marvel and DC were putting out. And to be quite honest, in my opinion, I think Marvel and DC has systematically went through all their IPs and deconstructed them, like completely tore them apart. Because there's a thing with those creators where they think, why should I promote Thor, Loki, Iron Man, when my character can be the next one on screen and I can make a percentage of whatever that character makes? That's why you got Miss Marvel out there, which is probably the most generic character I've ever seen before in my life, and different characters like that. Like it's crazy. But I think the mainstream industry at the moment is being run by people who don't care about comics. They don't collect comics.
Yeah, you think?
And they're out for a quick buck, or they got a job because one of their buddies was put in a position as editor, or they were in charge of talent you know, hiring talent or something like that. And they were like, well, I know somebody who draws. Let me give my buddy a call. You know? So the industry it's collapsing. And what the weird thing about it is that the industry's not making money. Like they're not approaching I mean, of course the 90s was an exception. You know what I'm saying? But before the 90s, they're not approaching the numbers they were bringing in before the 90s, you know? In fact, their numbers have steadily gone down, like big time, you know? And like they've recently made Star-Lord bi, and they've made Star-Lord bi because Chris Pratt is a Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of sense is that, dude? Like, this is $1 billion property that they're going to bury because they want to make a statement. That's retarded.
But they don't care about the comic books. It's all about the movies and the Funko Pop.
It's not even about that. It's also about politics. Like, it's gender politics. It's,
that's
whatever.
It's
crazy. Like, none of this stuff has anything to do with Galactus or fucking Thanos or Star-Lord or any of this stuff.
Well, because they don't know these characters. They don't have any history with them. Do you know what I'm saying? The
tragedy of all was because I think they do know the characters, but they're like, how can I twist this character to get my point across? You see what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying is that these aren't characters that meant anything to them. They didn't grow up with these characters.
Here's my point, though. Like the brick and mortar shops are decimated at the moment. I think it was once they fall below like 1,900 physical shops, like there's no way they're going to come back. You know what I'm saying? Like Diamond, there's not even a point to having Diamond.
Yeah, it's over.
I'm listening to Brian talking. All I'm seeing in my head is Jeff Goldblum saying, "You stood on the shoulders of giants, and before you knew what you had, you patented it, you slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You're selling it."
Yeah, I think right now brick and mortar is under. I think the count of shops is like under 1,000, you know? And then you got to realize, like, each shop, they're not going to buy 20 or 30 copies of like Berserkonaut. They're only going to buy maybe 6 copies at the most, you know, because this is a brand new, I mean, even like well-known properties, if it's not going to a folder customer and it's just going on the shelf, they're not going to buy more than 10 copies or something like that, you know? Yeah, and that's being generous, you know? Yeah. So that's a huge problem, you know, and that's why I'm saying, like, I think because of what we're doing, and we've kind of constructed a network, you know. I don't want to say I constructed a network because I came in on it and I just kind of helped out. But
yeah, you're an important part of it, dude.
I think but I think all the heavy lifting was done by other people, you know. Like EVS and Malin and all these other guys, and you know, your boy Zach and all this thing, and they kind of formed this network, and we're here and we just help each other out. Like when I pushed your book today, and I put it in the different chats that I'm in on Twitter, everybody in that chat went ahead and reposted that post, you know, and it's not because it's because they wanted to, you know. They were like, well, we got to help this guy out. He's a creator. Let's get him out there, you know. And that got more eyes on your product. And that got, right now, you shouldn't, in my humble opinion, I don't think anybody, like, you're not going to see major sales right now, you know, because it's so close to Christmas. Nobody's thinking about like buying comics for themselves. They're thinking about buying stuff for their mom, their dad, their kids, their blah, blah, blah. You know? So it's people are trying to be selfless as possible as they possibly can at the moment. But once January rolls around and February, when they start getting their income tax checks and shit like that, you're going to see a shift. And that's when you really want to start pushing your book. You really want to get it out there.
I have a much shorter answer. I've tried putting my stuff in shops.
Mm-hmm. How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, I never really have. You know, I mean, when the, you know, in the beginning, I dropped off like a bunch of free copies from the local shops. It was just like, you know, here's like 20 copies, and you know, give these to like your most valued customers. You know what I mean? Like the people that are people that might appreciate it. You know what I mean? Throw that in as like an extra, because I just saw it as just like a promotional thing. but we're all, the market's changing, and there's a new market that's appeared, and a network of artists, like Preston was saying, and he's downplaying his own contribution to it. But what we do is we're finding these people that we think have tremendous merit and should be doing much better than they are, and introducing them to this community and this network.
Well, I want to point out something. Like Vinny just brought something up, and he's absolutely right. For the longest time, like brick and mortar shops were completely against. Like if you labeled CG, like it's the same. It's the same way I got into CG. I was labeled CG before I even knew what CG was, and I'm like, what the who? What is this? What is like? Of it, I was but it's a thing, right? Like in these brick and mortar shops, if they even got wind that your book was even like mildly associated with CG, it was like, I don't want that shit in my shop. But you'd be like, did you read it? Yeah. Like here's an example. Like there's 2 major comic shops around my house. Was 2 major. I don't know if the other one's still going, because one of them was based solely on their main income was vintage comics, and folder customers, and modern comics was an afterthought because they knew modern comics was garbage. The sales were down. It didn't look like it was going to come back with the way the stories were going. Right. The other shop, it's the oldest shop in Louisiana, and that shop wasn't dependent on vintage comics. I checked. Trust me, they never had a lot of vintage comics. In fact, their main income was folder customers. Right. And when I brought up the subject, and this is when I first got labeled with CG, I was like, well, okay, all this comes from Jawbreakers. All right, let me see if I can get a copy from my local shop, because I didn't know anything, dude. I'm ignorant at this point, right? And I called one of the shops, the one that's heavily based in folder customers. I was like, look, and I knew the guy. This is a guy I know that ran the shop, and I was like, hey, do you have Jawbreakers? He was like, I don't deal with that trash. I was like, is it terrible? He goes, I don't know. I said, did you read it? He goes, fuck no. I was like, why do you know if it's any good? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, you're not judging a book before you actually lay eyes on it, right? And he's like, you don't understand. It's the politics behind it. And this is actually what they said. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not making shit up at this point.
No, but here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing.
But then I read it. I read Jawbreakers, and I was like, this has nothing to do with anything. It's just fucking 90s fun. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
not the point, though.
And I was like, and I was like, what politics can possibly, because they're not playing the game. They're not putting like whatever, like they're not putting whatever soapbox everybody else is like dying on, fucking in this book. I was like, that's retarded.
But here's the thing, dude. If everything that you knew about Comicsgate came from what you just heard, you would think the same thing.
Well, you couldn't trust any of it. You couldn't even trust the Wikipedia.
Wikipedia? Oh my god.
Yeah, the Wikipedia.
Oh my god. Yeah. So
I didn't even check the Wikipedia page. I just went straight to the source and started talking.
Yeah, I started listening, and I hung out in the chats, lurked.
Well, I was like,
let me wait and hear like the racist and the homophobic.
Well, the strangest thing to me was I've never seen an Aryan group made up of more ethnic people.
Oh, well, that's because we're like the new and improved, more inclusive Yahtzee party.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We got Native American Yahtzees, we got Black Yahtzees, we got Jewish Yahtzees, we got gay Yahtzees. We're inclusive now.
Yeah, and then you also have to realize too, like there was comic shops, and there's a video of this online where they were kicking people out because they would ask for certain books. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my god,
they're like, get the hell out of my shop.
Like, well, I don't want your money.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys are struggling, right? Here's the deal: like, if the mainstream is turning the mainstream's like the help they were given was putting books in Walmart, right? But only Walmart can have those books. Like the fucking LCSs couldn't have them. And I'm like, well, how is that helping the LCS? You know, that's actually drawing people away from the LCS and bringing them to Walmart, you know? And I was like, this is they don't care about you guys, but you guys are playing the game. You're so like mixed up in this game that you're not seeing what's happening in front of you. You know, like they didn't want to carry any of our books, even though our books were selling. You know, I mean, fucking EVS made $1 million, over $1 million on Cyberfrog 2. You know what I'm saying?
But it's
like,
blood money.
That's a fuck ton of money, dude. That's a fuck ton of money. And he did it without the help of any type of brick and mortar store. He did it without the help of the push of any type of push from, you know, any fucking mainstream publisher or anything like that, you know. Yeah. But yet the mainstream is burning down and everybody's out of work and everybody's cutting each other's throat to kind of get the next gig, you know. And
shank.
I'm not struggling. I'm doing good. I'm okay. My IP is good, is doing well. You know, in fact, it's doing well, even though I don't have time to go ahead and push it. Let's put it that way, you know, because I'm fulfilling and I'm working on other people's IPs. So that just goes to show that it's the comics as an industry isn't dying. Comics as the mainstream part of comics is dying. Exactly. People are still going to want to collect comics even when there's no mainstream to put out comics, you know? So,
yeah. Because the appetite for the medium is still there. Yeah. It's just they're not getting it from the mainstream. They're getting it from us now because we actually
here's the deal. If your crack dealer is going to stop selling crack, it's not like you're not going to go to another crack dealer.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is our projects all have one thing in common. They're passion projects. They're not just, you know,
right, yeah. Well, here's the deal. Like Berserkonaut should not be getting mixed up in this shuffle. You know,
no.
And I think that's one thing I have to say about yours, Jeff, is that you're getting mixed up in you're getting buried, you know, because there's so much crap going on that people they're like, I don't know if they're afraid to check it out or they just kind of looked over it, or honestly, I never even knew about. I stumbled upon it.
I think it's more that you just never know about it. I think a lot of projects kind of suffer from that same thing of just, you know, like how do you reach that, you know, outside, you know, that audience that you're searching for.
Yeah.
The way you do it is you push it every day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In fact, I've noticed your YouTube channel, like you've got, how many? You got like 40,000 subjects.
Yeah, they are too. They bow to me. I don't know forget it either.
What I'm saying is, like on air, like even when you're doing something like that, you should run a commercial. Like this is brought to you by Berserk.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We push. I think there's a saturation point that and then, you know, just because you got 40,000 subscribers doesn't mean you got like 40,000 like current subscribers. You know, that's something you find out.
That's true. But here's something I can tell you, like with those subscribers, because they subscribe to you, they're going to get updates whenever you do something. So like if you're doing something on your channel where you're painting Conan or something like that, and those guys are into Conan, they're like, I want to watch Jeff paint Conan. But at the end of Jeff's like video, at the beginning of your video, you're like, hey guys, before we get into this, I want you to go to Go. I want you to check out the Berserkonaut. You can pre-record that shit and just play it right before you start your actual program. Or if you're interviewing Jason Brubaker, you know, and you're like, hey, before we get into this, we got a little bit of house cleaning to do, you know, check out the Berserkonaut, you know, like you've got a huge audience, you know, and I think like if you use that correctly, like it's possible, like you can increase your sales and maybe even up the price of the book to go ahead and make up. Because let me tell you something, if you get a quarter of the sales if you make a quarter of the sales of the people that actually are subscribe to you, you know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, what are you looking at? You're looking at $5,000 or something like that. The logistics on you getting that shit out is going to be fucking crazy, dude. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about a house full of Gemini mailers, a house full of fucking bags and backboards. Trust me, look.
It's a good problem to have.
Look at my house, dude. This is only my room. I'm not showing you down here where I got another box. I got trash all over the floor.
That's a problem that you want, though.
No, it isn't a problem you want because I can't get any work done. I'm telling you. That's the problem.
Well, don't you have a wife?
I'm not. No, because I can't yell at her if she screws something up. That's the problem. But that's the deal. And Jeff knows this, and so does John. John knows this too. Like if we're not working, we're not getting bills paid. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you raise the price on your book so that you can go ahead and cover those logistics that you have to do. You know, I mean,
oh yeah, sure.
But
the next time around, it'll definitely be different. I think that going back to the comic book shop thing, you know, it's like I do see like your point. I definitely see some pushback against Comicsgate for sure, but I also feel that like, you know, just crowdfunding on the internet, it is insulated in a way. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like there should be a way to get your books. You know, like somebody mentioned Walmart, which I know that one guy got him into Walmart, but it's like, that's not really what I'm talking about. It's like, you know, I kind of feel like, you know, if we want to change, we got to make a change. And are we making a change by sort of like hiding on the internet crowdfunding?
No,
we almost have to get our books into the comic shops.
I completely agree with you, but
you know,
we discussed this all the time.
Walmart, I always felt Walmart was a bad deal. And the reason why is because Walmart's going to send back every damaged book.
Sure.
And
absolutely.
They're cut.
But how are we going to like get this next generation of kids into comics unless like a kid can buy a comic?
You don't want to put your tiny product in this massive store where people have to look for it. You want to put it in a very small store where people can easily see it and it's an impulse buy. You see what I'm saying? So you want to hit the Dollar General, you want to hit the convenience stores where comics we grew up and we found comics. You know,
I'll agree with that, but I think it's kind of the same analogy. You know, it's like, well, how do you get to the Dollar Generals? How do you get to these kinds of places? And I can
tell you one
that's
thing,
sort of like, and I don't have the answer. That's kind of why I was just.
Alterna's got the answer because Alterna was in the grocery stores. You know, they were in 300, 400 grocers, and Alterna. Here's the thing: like, I'm a big proponent of Peter Simeti. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have deep feelings for Peter Simeti.
Very sexy man. Very sexy.
Deep feelings for Peter Simeti. Well, that's going to be a cut right there. People are just going to cut that and send it
so deep.
So deep.
He's onto something, man. He's absolutely onto something. He's helping certain Comicsgate creators out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but Peter's business model, he's putting a new spin on an old theory, right? You get them while they're young, you make it easy as possible for them to get a hold of your product, you know, which is don't just keep it on the net. But if it's going to be on the net, I can guarantee you this, every time Peter does a show, he's going to push every comic in his lineup. Like every comic under that Alterna umbrella, he's going to go through them, hold them up, explain to you what it's about, and tell you why you should buy it. And that's one thing you got to respect about that type of publisher. Because when I was shopping around for a publisher, every publisher told me the same thing. We'll publish the book, but it's up to you to push the book. Yeah.
You know, and it's up to you to advertise it and make sales. And I was like, well, what do I need you for? And if I got
going with a publisher like in this day and age, any indie publisher for sure. Like what benefit? They're just doing the same thing you're doing.
But Peter does have the answer to that. I mean, yes, he's going to take a cut, but he's going to give you the best and cheapest printing he can possibly give you. You know, he's going to make your book super affordable for anybody who wants to buy it. And he's going to put it in a place where people can buy it. Like when Diamond decided to go under, Peter's solution was to go ahead and start his own Diamond. You know what I'm saying? His own distribution service. When he was, before Diamond went under, Peter's idea of getting his books out there was putting them in grocery stores and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, that's the type. If Peter was running mainstream now, there wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah,
I honestly completely believe that. Like there would be no clash. Like there wouldn't be no apocalypse happening with the comic book industry. You know, and look. I have no reason to go ahead and push Peter. You know what I'm saying? Because Peter turned down 2 of my properties. He's like, nah, this is garbage. Get this away from me. I was like, oh, it's fine, dude. No problem. I still respect it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he turned down Six Gun too. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But he took Sweetcast's book, and he's like, break this book up into separate issues, and I'll print it. We'll print it on newsprint, and we'll give it to people as a cheaper form in a cheaper format, to where it's much easier to consume. You know, they're not getting a big thick novel, but they'll get floppies. You know, and that's, I think, if you want to really go that way with Berserkonaut, I think the only thing Peter wants is for people to be consistent. Like, you got to keep the book coming, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm not interested in joining in with like Alterna, but I mean, I'm interested in distribution. That's why I pay attention to him. And, you know, and just answering that question. Cause I think crowdfunding is like awesome, and it's working. That's like awesome. And people can make a living at it, which is another awesome bit, but it's just like, just like looking down the road. Well, I mean, is it? It's been sustainable for the last like 10 years, you know? So
yeah, kind of.
That could change in a heartbeat. You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
Hey, I got to dip out. I gotta go. But thanks for having me on. And Jeff, it was a pleasure to meet you. I actually really, really, really dig your work. It looks fucking gorgeous. It reminds me of like Sam Keith, who's one of my favorite artists. It's gorgeous. So honored to meet you. And thanks so much for having me on. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks.
Peace out, man.
Take it easy, dude.
Can I also just really quickly mention Mark Middleton is in the house. He's got a really awesome looking book, a weird Western called Grave Robbers.
Oh, cool.
And everybody go check out his campaign page. That's a book that also should be doing a lot better than it is.
It's but I'm telling you, it's a season, dude. Like all these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, not you. You launched 10 years. I mean, 2 years ago.
Might as well be. I mean, that's how long I'm going to be in demand. It's 10 years. So I get that freaking book up to 100,000 by then.
You know what? I'm glad you were in demand for 2 years, because I wouldn't have stumbled across this gem if it wasn't still up here.
But I think they kick you off at like if you don't get a sale for like 6 months or something. And I always seem to get a few sales every now and then. So, yeah, you did. I did see that. A few other people bought it. Like I just packaged up some Monday and sent them out. So
oh shit, they're already printed. They're just waiting to go by your house.
Oh hell yeah, they were printed before I ran it. That's another thing. Like with my campaign, I don't run campaigns until the books are, well, not printed, but like ready to go to the printer. Yeah. So like I got mine, shipped out, easily within 3 months. It was more like 2 months. So
yeah,
I don't dig on that. Making people wait for months and months. That's not cool.
Actually, you inspired me to go ahead and paint the next book that I'm doing.
Oh Lordy.
So I was looking at it. I was looking at you doing it, and I was like, I can do that. I got to do that, right? I mean, because I'll be honest. On my last book, I had a great relationship with the colorist.
Yeah.
For the first chapter.
Yeah.
And then it just went, and I was like, dude.
Yeah, especially like you, or you're like such an awesome painter anyway. I would have a hard time just doing the digital color, even though like, I can see like on your new one, it looks great, but it's like, you're just a better painter than like what they can do. So I don't know.
Digital, are you OCD at all?
I don't know. Nobody's ever told me, but I guess I could be. Who knows?
I haven't been diagnosed.
I'm OCD. I've never been diagnosed OCD, but I can say this: if you give me a magnifying glass in Photoshop and you tell me to start coloring a comic, I'm gonna zoom in as far as I can on an eyeball and do the best pupil you've ever seen, or iris. And I'm gonna spend 3 hours on that iris, and you're not going to see any of the detail that I put in that iris when it prints.
But it's there.
Yeah, but here's the problem. It can't even print. It's so small. You know what I'm saying? But that's the downfall with me in digital paint. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that I can't do it. It's just that I'm not proficient. And it's
just paint it by hand though. I mean, like,
I'm better at doing it by hand. Because I'm like there's a limit on how deep I can go in detail. And it's Yeah, and I'm good with that, because and my goal was always like to try and make my paintings match up with digital. Like I want people guessing, like, was that done digitally or is it?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's just me though. But it never started out that way. I was a horrible fucking painter at first. Terrible.
Well, everybody sucks when they start. I mean, you can't be, Jimi
I was
Hendrix.
literally a monkey with a paintbrush and just throwing shit on it.
Dude, do you think Jimi Hendrix picked up a guitar and sounded like Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
he sounded like shit. I'm sure
How dare you? How dare you?
You have to do it. You have to
After
play
he
until you
restringed the
play.
guitar, maybe.
He played until his fingers bled. That's how he became Jimi Hendrix.
Guitar over.
Yeah, left-handed, southpaw, man. Yeah, you have to put in the work.
We're gonna have to cut this off, but Jeff, like seriously, I want to. If you guys ever do a drawing stream on your channel, I'd be more than down to do that. And if I ever do that, you're invited to come on. In fact, you got an open invitation. If you ever want to come back on and we just yap about stupid shit, I mean, I'm totally down with that. And
sure, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, you're
pleasure being
invited. I do a lot of streams, and I want to have you on. I want to have you on too, Brian, if you don't mind. And
oh heck yeah,
get in touch with you guys.
Brian's a little bit of a chatterbox. You might
Is he?
I'm super ADD and I require adult supervision.
Yeah.
However, if you're running the stream, you always have that mute button. I encourage people.
If Brian has edibles, I mean, do you do edibles, Jeff? Do you do anything like that?
I live in Colorado.
Don't remind me. Oh.
Do you paint on acid? Is that where the Berserkonaut came from?
I remember a long time ago, I was hanging out with this guy, and I don't know if any of you guys know him, but he used to call himself the Dark One. He did.
I remember it's Greg Williams.
Yeah,
I actually had him on the channel. I love his work.
Really?
Like I am a huge fan of his.
Yeah, he's really awesome art. But he lived in Boulder, and I lived in Boulder too. And one time I went over to his house, and he's like, we were like talking and everything. And there was a group of us, and he like turns to me like super serious. He's like, Jeff, I have to ask you a question. He's like, before you paint, man, do you get like all like super stoned and like, get it? And like I'm always such a straight arrow. I never even drink, let alone get stoned. I'm like, no, not really. It's like, what? I can't believe it. But
I tried so hard to convince him to do another Animal Mystic or do a cover for me or do something like.
Well, what's he doing nowadays? I mean, he should totally be freaking self-publishing nowadays. He could probably bank.
You would think, but he's hiking around in the desert, like doing some strange shit. I don't know. I just don't. I don't have much to say about him because the guy's so talented, and I think what happens is you want more for people than what they actually want out of life. You know what I'm saying? And Greg was one of those guys that when I was looking at indie comics and it was looking all the same, like his book Animal Mystic, like blew me out of the water, dude.
Absolutely.
Like I was like, that is fucking insane. And I thought he painted it. I honestly thought he painted it, but he claims that there was no paint used. It was all alcohol-based markers.
Yeah, markers is what it was. And I totally remember seeing his setup on his table, and that's what they were. They were just all markers.
I didn't even know they had alcohol-based markers like that back then. I thought Copics and shit like that came later on.
They weren't even Copics. Yeah, they were just the old crap markers that nobody could make work. Somehow he made them work. I mean, seriously, they weren't anything different than you got like when the first day of art school kind of pack of markers, man.
Get out of here, dude. That is fucking insane. But yeah, he was so good. And I spent a whole show and after the show and before the show, I tried to convince him, and he's like, every now and then he'll send me a message. He's like, "You're not giving up on me, are you?" I was like, "Dude, I don't even know what we're doing here." You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish somebody would tell me what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But he claims that he's behind on his commissions and stuff like that. And I guess that's a trend. I mean, I don't know. I don't get a lot. I can't say that. I do get some commissions, but they're usually like they're kind of high end. Some of them, like I don't really get a lot of low end commissions anymore. But I kind of plan those out in between, like doing page work. But at the moment, I'm doing this shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Tom.
It takes over your life. I mean, but I commend you for getting your ass in gear and like doing it. Anybody who does that and really gets their book out, I'm impressed. You know what I mean? I love seeing that, because it's like, I just feel like it just hurts the industry. With these guys crowdfunding.
It has to be.
I gotta finish. I gotta finish, but I just think it hurts us all, man. When you crowdfund and you don't deliver. So anyway, now go ahead.
No,
yeah,
you're absolutely right. And that's what I was telling somebody else. Like they had their book priced way low the other night, and I was like, dude, here's the biggest thing. It's like people are getting weary. Like if it looks too good to be true, like they're not going to want to back it because they don't know if they're going to get it. Like I mean, there's a red vulture out there that has walked off with $250,000. You know what I'm saying? And they threw their fucking shitty book in Walmart.
Oh yeah.
Now they want you to go pay an extra $5 so that you can get your book. And I was like,
once you fulfill on one campaign, then people know that you're not one of those grifters, and that you'll do double on your next campaign.
Well, that's my whole thing. Like, I don't want to push Doc Salem until all of the first orders are out. You know what I'm saying? And then once those are out, I'll start pushing it again. But until I can get these books out, which is, I mean, they're going out now. Trust me, my mailman is pissed. She had to pick up a box big this morning and make room in her Jeep, because they still drive those shitty Jeeps, right? And she had to push all the Christmas packages on the side.
Yeah, you're doing right at Christmas. What's wrong with you?
And she was like, she's playing. She was happy when she came to the house. Like she had Christmas music playing and all that kind of shit. And then she got pissed as soon as she seen what was on my porch.
You might want to buy her like a box of chocolates and some flowers.
Well, I was like, oh, I'll help you put it in there. I don't want you to hurt your back. She goes, it's too late.
Oh man.
I was like, all right, I'm sorry. I was like, but I got another box. Let me go grab it real quick.
Oh man.
It was a trip. But yeah, I mean, that's my thing. Like, I want to get this shit out and I want to make people happy so I can get my next thing out and make them happy with that.
That's what it's all about, brother. That's what
my only thing is that I'm seriously considering like not doing another project for a few months because I just don't want to do the logistics of getting that shit packed up. I want to let Brian do it.
Yeah, seriously.
What's your book, Brian? Then
Six Gun Gorilla, Long Days of Vengeance.
Six Gun Gorilla. Okay, I saw that somewhere. Is it already? Is it in demand or whatever still, or is it?
Well, it's no longer in demand. The first campaign did about 8,000. The second campaign did about 19,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it really is. And, everybody loved the book, which blew my mind. Critics were super, super, super nice. And, everybody, I didn't expect people to connect with it the way they did, but they did. Yeah. And unfortunately, my artist on the book, Agent Sibar, he's no longer with us. And Preston very graciously offered to step in and do the art duties on the next issue, and going to hopefully launch that. He already painted one of what's going to be 2 covers, and oh god, I mean, Preston's an awesome guy. I consider him a friend, and I'm intimidated by Preston the artist. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Preston the guy is cool, right? He's just a regular dude. But Preston the artist, I'm just like, damn, I'm working with that guy. I've got to bring my A game script wise. But I've already got like the remaining 3 issues fully scripted, and can't wait to launch the next campaign, man. Can't wait.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. I heard you on a different show somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe you didn't have your camera on because I don't recognize you. But I kind of remember that, and I wish I'd have got in on it. I didn't jump in at the time, but I don't know. Maybe I was broke at the time or something. But it looks like a cool book.
I will actually.
Oh yeah, actually, could I just buy one straight from you then?
Yeah, absolutely. Or we'll do a swap or something.
Brian, you should have said like, "I'll give you a book in exchange for a Berserkonaut piece."
Original.
Yeah, I got one right here. Got a stack of them ready to go out.
Oh man!
Give it all away.
Yeah, but whenever
next
we
book's
launch,
going to go out for 99 cents too. I just announcing that.
oh
Just
yeah.
kidding.
That would be bad, dude. That would be bad. But here's the thing: when you launch your next campaign, it's like I always tell people I had 3 first campaigns. That's to say, the first 2 bombed, and it was the third one that I guess third times the charm that worked out. And Preston's first campaign for Doc Salem didn't work out.
No,
But the second one did. I know. I remember, brother. I remember. That was brutal.
That's interesting. Were you guys in CG? Was CG going at that time?
It was. But here's the deal. Like,
yeah.
Here's the thing when it comes to stuff like that. Like at the time, you had people running late on getting their books out, to the customers. And at the time, I was brand new. Nobody knew me from Adam, and by every right, they had no reason to trust me at all. I launched. Not only was that playing against me, I also launched like really close to Christmas, like in October, and which was another stupid move. It did generate money, but another mistake I made. You see, the mistakes just piled up. Like I also set my goal at $10,000. So I had a $10,000 goal. I launched like a couple of months away from Christmas, and I'm brand new.
You made every mistake, man. Everything that you're not supposed to do, you did.
Mistake you could possibly make, and I was like, "It'll be fine." It's last minute. Yeah, of course, all that cash is coming in, right? Nothing came in, dude. It did not happen, and I'm really glad it did crash because I had a bunch of people that were helping me out with it, and I had to pay them after it was done. And the book wasn't finished yet either. Like I had a couple of pages done and I was like, this is what I'm planning on doing,
Okay. Yeah.
If I get the cash up, then I'll be able to pay these guys to go and ink it and color it and all this kind of stuff. Well, when I relaunched the campaign, I had more of the book done and I had decided to do like 80 to 85% of the work myself. The lettering, inking, coloring, story, all that stuff was done by me, and I hired out for the color, so it worked out. And then I also launched closer to February, and it was perfect. Like everything just went perfectly at that point. In the meantime, like to get over Doc Salem, to give me that time to get over that loss, because it does hit you, when you have a failed campaign, you're like, fuck, dude. Even though
the balls, man,
why it failed, it doesn't matter. It still failed. Yeah. And as a guy, your ego gets fucking slapped around a little bit and told it's a bitch. So I was like, all right. So I went ahead and so in the meantime, I dusted off Rockabilly Road Trip, and we also have a movie trailer for Rockabilly Road Trip. I'll send you the link later on.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
We built the car from the book and all kinds of stuff like that. We hired the actress from The Purge to go ahead and play Patches. Oh, and wow. It was nuts, dude. It was like some of the best times I've had, like working with those people, like getting it all filmed. But we, while I'm waiting to relaunch Doc Salem, I was like, let me do Rockabilly Road Trip, like dust it off, I mean, I had an issue just sitting around that I was originally pushing to publishers, but once you read Rockabilly, I'm gonna send you a copy of Rockabilly, but once you read Rockabilly, you'll know exactly why it got pushed away. Like publishers didn't want to touch it. Like when it was finished, they were like, are you crazy? We can't publish this right now. They're like, it's about the whole stories around women's fucking, what was it? It was menopause. Like, there's no damn way we're going to publish this. Like,
menopause turning them into maniacs.
Yeah, it turned them into maniacs, right?
Man-killing maniacs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Women go crazy.
Based on actual folklore. Based
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
actual-
it's actual Mississippi folklore. You know, it's called Micrits. You know, you can look it up. It's in there. We never made this shit up. Like it's fucking
yeah, it's like
right out.
one of those things that, like, you know, is folklore, but people actually believe that this was like an actual thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
and plus Nicky Type, the main character in the book, he's a womanizer, you know, and he built this chick, and she's fucking. It's crazy. It's a wild ride, right?
It's really good.
But it's a really good book, and they turned it down because they were like, it's too hot. We can't publish this. So the book sat around completed for a year, right? Just sat around, and so while I was getting over the loss of Doc Salem, I was like, let me launch this and see what happens, and it was completely successful. You know, like fucking hit its goal. It was done. I sent it off, got it printed, got it out to the customers, fulfilled that campaign. And while I was finishing up Doc Salem, after Rockabilly was done, I launched Non-Devils. And Devils was another book that I launched as a Kickstarter, book. And I had a bunch left over. So I decided just to blow out my stock on Indiegogo in preparation for the revamped version that me and Brian are working on. And that one was wildly successful. It went, it hit its goal and surpassed it. And for a book that was already completed, it was money all the way, And then now Doc Salem is completed, and this is going to be the last book I'm going to be completing for a little while. Not long, because I'm about to sign on with a well-known writer. I don't want to say anything about it right now, but it's also gonna. He liked the book so much that he wants to go ahead and sign on to write the next book. And
so cool.
So
Frank Miller, Stephen King.
Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't say anything, but it is Warren Ellis. Warren Ellis has decided.
Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm totally lying. I'm lying. Don't worry.
Is Warren Ellis the one that
everybody? I just want everybody to know that Warren Ellis is signing on. So go back Doc Salem right now. No. He's not signing on, but it is somebody probably just as has
Notorious.
just as much.
An industry legend and icon, I would say.
But I don't want to say anything until it's permanent. But it's going to be fucking epic if it goes the way it's. And I'll be honest, like I'm not a great writer. I'll be straight with you, dude. I'm good, in my humble opinion. I basically go off of instinct, and I read a lot of novels. You know what I'm saying? So like real novels, not like graphic novels. But that's where I get most of my story structure from. Like as far as like how to build a story, like a proper story.
Yeah. You read something besides comic books.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's so important for writers.
Like there's always. Every novel I've read, there's always this subplot that goes through it. You got your main plot, it wraps up the story, and then you got a subplot that leaves you on a cliffhanger. And that's the method I used with Doc Salem, and it seemed to work. But yeah, once Doc Salem's done, I got a couple of things. I'm teaming up with Adam Lawson. We're going to be doing a Kung Fu book. And me and Brian, before that, me and Brian are doing his Six Gun book. And yeah, dude, like I just got to get this fucking fulfillment out of the way. And for next time, I have got to get this shit down. I got to get people I trust to go ahead and come over and help me with. I'll pay you a couple of $100, dude.
Dude, you don't have to pay them. You just order some pizza, some beer. Pizzas and beer, man.
Look at this. You see how small this pile is right here? This is maybe $600. Right?
No.
And this is only domestic. This is this isn't overseas. I'm probably looking at maybe $1,200 once I do my overseas orders. Yeah. And which I got a problem with because I mean Doc Salem was that successful where I still made money. And here's the thing, like I've learned that when you handle everything yourself, you get the benefits of everything, by yourself. So yeah, I'm totally down with that. And yeah, but I've also noticed like there's projects like yours, like Robert, like the one I was talking about yesterday, Seasons. Like I'll be honest, Seasons, his campaign was structured so badly. I had no idea. I've seen it multiple times and I had no idea what it was about. I swear to God, I was like, this just doesn't look. I thought it was some kind of play on Happy Days or something like that with the logo. No, I'm serious. He had like a record album, like a record album for the logo, and I was like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's an amazing looking book.
Yeah, it's an amazing book, and I was like, you would never know it looking at that campaign, you know, because people have a very, very short attention span, and I'm one of those people, you know. Like if I'm looking at a project, I'm only going to go through a few images before you either caught my attention or you lost me. Yeah. And you caught me right away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at first I was like, Berserkonaut. I was like, that sounds cool because I love the Berserker. And then I was like,
everybody's like coming in with all these Berserk names too.
Yeah. Well, Berserk is like one of the most popular animes out there, right? So Berserkonaut is one of the coolest names you could possibly pick, you know? Yeah. So I'm like, let me take a little bit so I watched your video and I'm watching you paint it. I was like, this guy's legit. I was like, all right. So there was no choice in backing your project. Like it's very well constructed. The only thing I have to say about that is that is your price points. You know, like look, keep your price point for me when I'm ready to get my commission done, but up it for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'll do the same thing for you. Like in fact, fuck that. We'll just change commissions. Like you just tell me what you want. You want me to paint a Berserkonaut? I'll do that, dude. Totally. You know, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'll do a Berserkonaut cover for your next book. You just let me know what you want and I'll do it. I'm dead serious about that too. Like I'm not pulling any punches. I'll give you something like it'll blow your mind, dude. You know, you can either draw it out and give it to me, or I can draw it. It's up completely on your plate. I don't make this offer lightly. Like there's very people I tell people like I'll do that for, and I'm willing to do that. You know, just let me know what you want, because I really want to see the next issue of this thing hit, dude. I want to see you paint some more of your typing paper.
Yeah, and you know, Preston is a guy who really has gone above and beyond, bent over backwards for other people and their campaigns. He's somebody who really is a giving person.
Well, it's not that. It's just that I'm kind of greedy because I want to see these. I want to see this stuff.
I know
and I want to read it.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. I feel you.
Robert. That dude put I would say he put as much work as you put into Berserkonaut, you know, because he handles everything. He handles colors, pencils, all that stuff, dude. Hey, Blue, what's up, dude?
What up, Blue?
Hello, good evening, guys.
What do you think about this Berserkonaut, Blue?
If I recall correctly, it was a fun little romp to read.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah. Cool. By the way, I just woke up, so I barely know what's going on.
We're in the cobwebs, huh? Well, you know what? It's cool that you came in, so I can tag out, because I gotta eat something before I start gnawing on my own arm.
But yeah, go ahead, Brian. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon, Preston. Jeff, a pleasure meeting you, sir. And I can't wait to read this, and I'll shoot you a copy of a Six Gun. And peace out, Blue. Nice to see
you, Brian.
Nice to see you for like 30 seconds. Peace, love, and soul, everybody.
Yeah, you got it. Jeff, send me a friend reply to my follow on Twitter, and I'll go ahead and I'll put you and Brian in a chat to go ahead and you guys can confer if you know. Sure. Unless you don't like him. If you don't like him, just tell me and I'll just not do it. I'll say something between me and you. I'll say something happened, like, oh, Jeff's got a glitch in his Twitter or something like that.
I don't really know how to work Twitter that well, but
it'll just be between me and you.
I have one.
Anything. I'll just be like, no, Jeff had a glitch in his Twitter. Nobody knows what happened.
That's cool.
Twitter thinks he's the Illuminati or some shit like that. Like, when you were drawing the skull on a Berserkonaut, I was like, he's so gonna get sued. And then you went ahead and you colored it all red. I was like, genius. Just fucking blurred that shit right.
I've been at a couple cons, and like I had this one kid come up to me and he's like, it's like a mix between the Punisher and Captain America, and then he didn't know what the arm was. So I was like, oh, all right.
You gotta get away from me.
I was like, you want to buy a comic? He's like, no. Yeah.
No, yeah, like when you get ready to do your, and hopefully like we can, you can get your book ready for next year. Like it'll, because you want to, honestly, you want to keep the momentum going for your campaigns. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to keep people interested.
Well, yeah, ideally that would have been good. But I don't know if there's the momentum at this point, but yeah.
You're building momentum. You're building momentum now.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, people, like, I'm telling you, everybody I'm telling about this book has never heard of this book.
Except one.
Yeah. Blue, you know about this book?
I believe I already have it.
Oh, you backed it? Oh, I thought you was fucking with me. I thought you was lying.
No, I already have it.
All right. No, I mean, I've never heard of it, dude. Like, I was like, how can I miss this? I was like, even though it looks like he's got a little curly penis, like right there in the picture. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's
a wrinkle.
It's an unusual wrinkle.
Yeah.
But I dig it. I can't wait to get
He's a cyborg, so who knows what is going on.
It's got a little portal that just opens up. Yeah.
Right.
So are you working on okay, I'm sorry. I really did just wake up and I find that I've got a link to a stream and I'm like, are they still going? Because that was, well over a couple hours ago and or an hour ago. And so I've only been listening for like 10 minutes. I have no idea what they've already asked you, but are you working on a number 2 or what is it?
Yeah, I am working on the second one.
Okay. Good.
So I took a couple sidetracks, so I was making a lot of excuses why I'm so lame as to.
He said he's got 16 pages done on the next issue of Berserkonaut.
Yeah, if I pushed hard, I could get to the second one here pretty quick.
How many pages are you planning on doing on the second issue?
Well, see, I don't know, because we've had those conversations like you were talking about, and should I do like a longer book? I mean, originally I was just going to do 32 pages, which is still longer than the first one because the first one was 24. Yeah. But then I thought, well, maybe I should push for 48, kind of do almost that kind of Comicsgate model where it's sort of like a double-sized issue for like $20 or something.
Well, what I was thinking, I mean, you already have like one done, you know what I'm saying? And usually when you run a second, like an issue, campaign for the second issue, you want to include the first issue. That way people aren't, they're completely
sure.
up. And if you do maybe an alternate cover for the first issue and maybe do a second printing or something like that and combine the two.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking, like just roll them together, do like the third, because the 32 pages, I picked that number because it kind of ends at a nice spot.
Yeah,
in the story. So if I rolled those together, 32 and 24, just put some, pinups.
It's a nice big book. Yeah,
a good thick book. Yeah. So that might be what I do. I don't. That could actually very well be, because I'd always like to take another chance at printing it too, because it's like I thought it printed a little darker than I wanted.
I'm running across that too because I had to use 2 different printers for my for my Doc Salem property.
Yeah.
And the sketch covers came in, but I was the raw covers came in, and I was I had to go through a different printer. I went through Kablam, and I was highly disappointed with Kablam's printing.
Really? Yeah.
The colors weren't as vibrant as Greco, and. Like I've always used Greco and I've always been extremely happy with them because of their paper quality, the inks, the color, and then what they put into the book. But when those books came in for the, I mean, there's nothing really wrong with them. It's just, I just, you get a good book from Greco and then you get a substandard book from Kablam, and then you're wondering, what were they thinking? What process are they using? Do they care? Are the printers set on high res? Are they set on draft? I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm like, because I don't know the inner workings of a print shop. But I just I was a little bit disappointed, dude. I got to be honest. Like And but luckily I never had that many backers of the raw cover. And that's another thing too for everybody listening. all those covers came down, and whatever was ordered on the campaign, I did not get much more of that. Oh, I never overprinted by that much. So you may be looking at about 10 issues. So like the this cover, for instance, I mean, 60 copies got sold, 70 got printed. So
Oh wow.
just letting you know, like there's not going to be an overrun. And if Doc Salem does what it's supposed to do, you guys are going to be kicking yourself and missing out. And that's another thing too. I will not be doing like a lot of alternate covers in the future. I'm going to keep it very simple. The blue's coming home with it right here.
It's got it right there.
Yeah. I just cracked it open again, and oh yeah, this one. I remember the guy. It 24 solid pages of art. Sorry, I don't have gloves on, but you know.
You sacrilegious bastard.
It's a fun little romp. That's all I remember. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. That's exactly what I wanted it to be. So I'm glad.
It said, no, I don't know who Comics Forge is. If that's you guys may have already discussed that, but it said 90 days the adventure continues for number 2. Okay,
yeah.
Right. Well, I'm down.
So we're
like 600 days ago, but well, I mean, we talked a bit about that. You know, like when the book funded, you know, it just barely, you know, got over its goal, and I just really didn't see how I could keep going. You know, I just thought, oh, this didn't make enough money. And then, you know, over time, you know, it's kind of creeped up, you know, now it's like, you know, $8,000 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I should have kept going with it. But, you know, I just let any old project come along and I put my attention to it. And, you know,
I'm thinking if you would have made more money on the book and it was worth it for you, that if it gave you some breathing room to go ahead and say, okay, I'm good in the bank. Let me do issue 2.
Well, that's what I should have done. I should have realized it was going to continue to like sell and stuff.
Yeah.
And just powered through it and not be like, okay, you know, I didn't make enough. I just kind of used it as an excuse, I think, to kind of slow up. And, you know, I'm not perfect. So
no. I would do this. Like on a second issue, I would try to wrap it up a little bit, but also leave it a cliffhanger. You see what I'm saying? That way you have kind of a completed story, and then you have something to look forward to if you do produce another issue, or if you do a one shot down the line or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, where it ends on the second one, because the thing is 6 issues. The script is wrote, so it's kind of like, you know, I mean, I'd have to do some really major surgery to that thing to kind of wrap it up in some way. But, you know, I mean, I intended to go on with it, and to me, like, that's the way it should be done, you know. But I feel like, you know, if you put both together and you kind of just change the format, you could do the next one the same way, you know, 40 pages and the next one. So you'd have like a 3-book kind of thing by the time you're at the end of it. So.
Yeah, 6 issues isn't that long. By the time you get to the 6th issue, you'll be able to like bring all of those other 5 issues into a trade, you know, or something like that. And I think, dude, that'd be fun.
And I was talking 6 24-page issues, so it'd actually be like 3 kind of bigger issues if I if I squashed them together, you know. Yeah. So that might be the way to go. I don't know.
And Blue, you. Something, dude. Why did you not bring this to all of our attention? This Berserkonaut. Like, were you hoard this for yourself? He was like,
Did you get it on the original campaign? Just out of curiosity.
I'm sorry. What'd you ask, Jeff? I didn't know how to.
I was going to say, did you buy it off when, you know, like the original campaign? Just out of curiosity.
As far as I know, when I bought it, you were still producing it, and then I got it and read it right away. Even just flipping it open, I was reminded of, okay, this is the one with the forgive my I read it so long ago, and I've read so many books since then. This is the heist type plot with the Frankenstein in it. I got it. Okay. If I'm a little off target on that, I apologize, but yeah.
No, that's what's going on. Yeah, he's in there to steal something.
Yeah. So sorry, I can't be more detailed. I'm a little foggy on it. It's, you know, but I do remember enjoying it. And speaking of paper quality, holy cow, that cover's nice.
Yeah. That I went through a place called Printy, which it was kind of weird. I mean, I picked them because they were kind of like print in America and all that kind of thing. I thought, okay, I want to be American made and all this stuff, And then when the books came, they had this like Hong Kong sticker on the boxes, and I'm like, what the hell? And then the place went out of business like about a month later, and so I don't know. Whenever I print now, I got to go to a different place. But I've been hearing about this place called Mixum that a lot of people are putting their books through. And I got the Mary Boys. I don't know if you guys have picked that one up, but that's a really just a nice quality book. And
I should have picked that up, but at the time when Mary Boys was running, I wasn't doing so well. And I completely forgot about Mary Boys. Like I honestly should have picked that one up because that one is a great book, and the artist on that, the creator, he's fucking incredible. Like I've seen some of the artwork he got rid of on the auctions. Like he did this Black Sabbath piece, which was insane, dude.
Yeah, he is really good. And his book, and we had him on my show over on my channel, and that's what he was all Mixum was like and I just, the quality of the book looks just great. So I feel like my next one's going to be through those guys. But I printed through Greco, and I also did a Kablam book like years and years ago. This thing called Jack the Giant Killer, just way back before crowdfunding and all that kind of stuff. And I remember the quality was kind of weird. It wasn't bad. Especially back then when you're like, oh wow, I can print one comic. You're kidding me. But then it just wasn't like, it wasn't even as, like the Berserkonaut or something. I think it came out a lot better, but I don't know. But Greco's another one that they did the 100 Days of a Comics anthology where I put that other Berserkonaut story I was telling you about. They did that through that Greco printing, and that came out real nice. It's like a graphic novel book, though, black and white. So
I did a anthology. I did a couple of them. I think I only got paid for one.
Yeah.
This is why I was coming up, and I was like, they pitch it to you good, dude. They're like, this is gonna be distributed all over the world. People are gonna see your work, and I'm like, that's what I want, but we don't pay anything. I fell for it a couple of times when I was younger. And but that's all. That's just the that's you paying your dues, I guess.
Sure. Well, like that, the 100 Days one was just kind of like friends of mine. So none of us expected pay. So, but it's, I agree to jump in on with like other guys and really expect the big payday on those. I don't know where you go for that. Yeah. How do you even get paid in comics nowadays? I don't even know.
It's not that hard. You just have to find the right people. Like anybody, I haven't had too many people come to me and be like, we'll see how it sells. There's none of that right now because everything's super transparent. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if it's on the internet, and you can obviously see how much money they're bringing in. Now, here's the tricky part. I'm very hesitant when it comes to teaming up with people, because I know people that teamed up with other people to do a book, and the person in charge of the campaign decided, you don't need to get paid. And your contribution wasn't worth that much. But that wasn't part of the deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm very like, I have to trust you, and I have to see you like prove yourself by completing the campaign. You know what I'm saying? And treat your employees fairly. After doing so. And then we can talk about us working on something together. Like that's the way I work it. And maybe this comes from me being in the industry for so long, not the comic necessarily, but in advertisement and different things like that. And also working as a freelance artist, where people see you as a mark and they don't really see you as as like talent or an employee. They're just like, how much money can I make off this asshole and not give him any? And that's usually the way it works too. Like you'll do something for somebody and they're going to sell it as a souvenir item, and there's no way you can keep track of finances at that point. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that back end stuff, it's almost impossible. It's just like, it's not even worth the contract, the supposed contract that it's written on most of the time.
Yeah, and they basically just go home and write it themselves. They're like, all right, I'll give you blah, blah, blah. There's no way you can prove any of this. And I'll go ahead and, and they have no idea, like, because they know if you bring that in front of a court, they'll laugh you right the fuck out of there, dude. Like it's only there to make you feel better about getting fucked over. I think that's it.
Very true.
And so yeah, I'm and like I said, that's why I'm hesitant to work with certain people. But there's certain people that I would die to work with because I know they've proven themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like they've went out there and they've spent like hours on streams pushing their product. You know, they've hired the best. You know, they wanted to create something that's going to last and not just something to go ahead and do a money grab, you know? And, like, so yeah, I mean, I don't know where we're going with this, but that's my process on working with people. Yeah.
Well, being a one-man show, you can, if you're a one-man show, you can take your risks are all different. We even talked about this last night on a stream I usually do for a guy in Australia about and we showed off that one book Seasons on there. So I got your campaign open again to say, yeah, all right, now where was this? I am your backer, number 285, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yay, that's me. But I'm looking at this campaign and I'm going, wait, this comic, how many copies you got left? This thing was only
I jumped him a little bit.
I have a lot.
I don't know,
a couple boxes.
I don't know if you cut the stream the other night, but I mean, I was brutally honest with him when it came to the way he set up his campaign. I was like, dude, I've seen this campaign multiple times, and I have no clue what's going on with it. I don't know what is this? Like a Happy Days parody? I have no idea. And but once we got into it, and I've like, here's the deal. Like I was telling everybody else, my attention span isn't that long. Like if you don't catch me in the first few images, you're not going to catch me. And I'm moving on to the next thing. And all the meat and potatoes of that project is all the way at the bottom of the campaign. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, you got to reform it, this whole thing. And I said, you don't have to listen to me, but other people are going to tell you the exact same thing, except they're like, if you go to Malin's going to be brutal about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's going to be like, this isn't going to fucking work. What are you fucking doing? Whatever. But I told him, I said, you got to put all the stuff that's going to capture the audience's imagination in the front, at the top, and everything else at the bottom. And once your perks run out, like the list of perks on the side, that's as far as they're going. They're not going past that, unless you got enough at the top to go ahead and capture their imagination. And he's reworked it a lot. In fact, let's take a look at his campaign.
Yeah,
sure.
He's
I can't stop you.
He's reworked that campaign pretty good. And for one thing, I think one thing that works against him, but also like it kind of describes the project, Seasons, but it reminds me of a CW TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like the Vampire Diaries or something like that, like some type of ongoing drama. But this right here, like immediately I'm looking at this and I'm like, but then I look at this. You see where I'm going with that? And I'm like, holy shit, dude, what the fuck? Yeah.
How did we get from one to the other?
Exactly. Oh, wow. Here's the deal. This was all at the bottom of his campaign. Like none of this. I mean, look at this. This is gold.
That's pretty dang. Yeah.
And then, but this was all at the bottom. Like what he had at the top was not that. It was maybe
not those.
Let's see here.
What he had up at the top was more of the explanation of who he was, and I was on Kickstarter. Now I'm on Indiegogo. I've worked on this before. Things like that.
Yeah, this is exactly what he had at the top, like these images.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So there's that circle logo down there that you thought was a record.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I was like. I was like, And this right here, like this is the free print that he's giving away. But I was like when you lost me exactly at this point, because after going through all of this, like I was like, there's nothing here for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't have any interest in this project, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and he had to explain it to me, and I just like I was getting lost. I was like, I you know, it's like, but once I started looking at this, I was like, this is top notch, like anime style, you know, work. You know, like this is great, and it's hidden all the way at the bottom. You know, and I think as creators, like you want people to see certain things. Like he had his, you know, Jason Brubaker. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Jason Brubaker gave it a great review. He was like, "This is one of the greatest things ever," but most people don't know who Jason Brubaker is. You know what I'm saying? And he had that right at the top, and I was like, "Well, you kind of shouldn't have that at the top." You know, like keep it simple. A description of your project. If you got a sampler, put the sampler in there. You know, which he did. He, you know, here's the description, the sampler. You can click there and go read a couple of pages.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then he's got actual pages from the inside of the book. That's all you need. Like that's what people want to see. You know, and
you need like 3 or 4 sentences to tell us what we're looking at. And it's not about, you know, hey, I grew up here, or, you know, and went to this art school. No, it's just 3 or 4 sentences for the plot. Emphasize the challenge and the villain. There you go.
Yeah, because nobody's interested in your resume.
Yeah. I know that's one thing about like my video. Like when I did my campaign, that was a little bit more the style, where it was kind of like, you know, you kind of give your story during your video and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed like that is like so switched around in the last couple of years. It's like people really, they almost make like a little, you know, limited animation kind of movie of their book, and it's all about the book. It's not about, you know, hey guys, can you help me do this, you know, kind of BS, you know.
Yeah, you had that, but the thing that you had going for you was you was painting the cover.
Right.
Like, why are you talking about it? Because
but that really was a little bit more of the style kind of.
Yeah.
Everybody's Kickstarters were just like that. Yeah.
If you would have
It's
seen
not
like Pebbles, it's horrible. It was like, hey, my name's Versus, please give me money.
Right. Well, I forgave you for that and got 9 devils anyway, because it's Preston Acevedo. But you know, it's not like we're going to lynch you for saying anything about yourself. It's just, in this case, like on a campaign page, it's just placement. I mean, if you really want to include that, yeah, just down further.
Yeah, you want to sell a car. You don't want to learn how to guy get a job selling cars. You know.
Yeah.
Our default presumption.
Like, your the Berserkonaut, like your video. Yeah, it's kind of cool because you kind of, you know, you did that little thing where you went chinch, and the drums went on. So, I'm just fucking with you. But the coolest part about that was like once you started painting, I wasn't even listening at that point. Like all I heard was work for Marvel, did Doom, and here's Berserkonaut, you know, and I was like, this is fucking great, dude. Like this dude's knocking out a whole cover. And you know, I thought it was on watercolor paper. I didn't know you was using like, you know, type.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end, you showed the Berserkonaut cover, and I was blown away. I was like, dude, now I have to look further.
Yeah.
And that's how you caught me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the hook.
Yeah.
And so I mean, you could be forgiven for going ahead and, you know, going into the story of this and that, but like the way things are done kind of nowadays is it's all about the project. You know, it's like, you know, this takes place in, you know, blah blah blah, like it's a movie project or something like that. Like, you know, in a world where you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like I said, I'm a fan. Send me a follow on Twitter, and I'll try to get you in a couple of the groups. That way, when you do start advertise, like pushing it, you can get more followers. Honestly, I would kind of hold off on pushing this campaign, you know, until you get the next one done, and then kind of combine both books and cancel this campaign completely. You know, because this one's
for sure. When I that's always been my plan, was to just like when I get the new one going, you know, just wipe this one off.
And I'll do a cover. Like
know?
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
Well, I might take you up on it. I don't know. So.
Preston, I'm in the middle of a tweet and I'm about to put the hashtags on it to for this campaign, and you're like, "No, just hold off on this."
No, the reason why I'm saying that is because his prices are so cheap on this campaign. Like, dude, he's giving away for $4.
Yeah, it
like,
doesn't hurt nothing to just.
Yeah, but how are you?
That's the way I've looked at it. You know?
How are you ordering the mailers? I mean, you have to be sending these in shitty paper envelopes or something.
It's in a paper envelope, but I put cardboard around it. You know?
Yeah, mine came fine in a paper envelope with cardboard. You know, weirdly enough, a lot of the when I get mail, because I have things sent to my workplace, if it's like a package, it's in with the packages and it has to fight the packages. If it's thinner and flat, it's in with the letters.
My mailman is an asshole, and he said if there's any type of stiff stuff inside that envelope, it's considered a package, and you can't mail it that way.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I was like, you're a prick.
But if you're sending media mail, you can, it's still cheap.
I was sending sketch cards in a regular.
Oh,
envelope.
I see. Yeah.
I
remember. Yeah,
he was like, "No, this can't. This is a package. It's no longer an envelope." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You see this where you can't bend it?" He's like, "It's now a package." I was like, "That's fucking stupid."
I think it's like over a fourth of an inch or something, or maybe it's even an eighth. And if it won't go through that little slot, it's a package, and they screw you all the time.
I got to be honest though, like Cyberfrog, when I ordered Cyberfrog, the first one, it came in a regular envelope with a piece of cardboard.
All the blood honeys came in a flat, like a photo flat.
Like, what is this? I was like, this ain't no Gemini mailer. Can I pay like $50 for mail?
Those Gemini mailers just go in the trash anyway. That's the way I look at it. So.
I
reuse.
I yank all the labels off of them as best I can, and if they're not totally attacked already by the postal system, I swear somebody hates me. Like, he knows my name and he tries to knuckle punch any box I'm getting. But I take those things down my LCS, and he's got an eBay thing going. So it's like, just, let them be reused.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just reuse them. Like, I mean, not for like campaign stuff, but whenever I sell just regular comics or something like that, I just reuse whatever Geminis I got. And I know what you're talking about. Like, I've long ago stopped putting "do not bend" on my packages because
I think it antagonizes the post office.
That's what it is. Like, it's like a challenge. He's like, "Oh yeah, I can bend it. Want to watch me?"
The word for
have frying pans before, so your package is garbage, dude. I'm going to tear it up.
Yeah, that word fragile is just Italian for frisbee.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. Like, but yeah, I mean, if you want to advertise the shit out of it. I'm not actively advertising. It's just like, it's just there. Even when you asked me to come on the show and you wanted to talk Berserkonaut, I was kind of like, really? I mean, because I hadn't really been talking Berserkonaut. I mean, but I mentioned it on my videos and stuff. But it's not like it's not bad. I never looked at the date when you put it up. Like, all I seen was an in-demand project. And I was like, holy shit. And then I seen the price. Like, you're at 8,900. And I was like, he must have just started.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. Like, I was like, because I mean, Blue, you know this, right? I mean, you notice like established comic guys like this guy right here. Jeff worked on fucking like Doom 2099, and he worked on Lord Punkin and all this kind of crap from Malibu and all this other stuff.
Nobody remembers that stuff, though.
So
yeah, we could guess. Yeah, we could guess, and I'm just like, oh, okay, somebody new to comics and whatnot, doing his best. Oh, wait, look, a resume. Oh,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, when people find that out, they're like, whoa, this guy's established. Like, he's actually he's legit. And like, I had no, I swear to God, I thought you had just started out. Like, I think that this project was 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was. It's about to be 3 years old, but I thought it was
no, it can't be that long, can it?
It's getting older.
2018, 2020. Well, I got the whole year though before another year comes. That could be another year till 2021.
But like, I was like, because you're established. I was like, this is every established guy I've seen so far has. I mean, Jim Starlin's Jim Starlin, but I'm just saying, like, every established guy has made money off their projects, and I'm like, actually, I thought this was low. I was like, this is fucking. He's painting the whole book. But then I saw it.
I was happy with it though.
Well, no, I seen that you were offering it for $4, and then I realized that was a 24-page book, and I was like, well, that's not too bad. I mean, I probably would have doubled the $4, maybe did $8 or something like that, you know. For,
colored
but,
12.
Well, this is fully painted, like each page is painted, and I'm like, yeah, definitely, maybe $8, you know, would be more of a fair price, because you got to realize, like, I mean, before, like, maybe when I was doing Road Trip in 2006, 2007, we were selling those books for $5 each, you know, and that was a black and white indie comic, you know, and it was selling. People would buy
just to print that thing, I bet was coming in. Yeah.
And right now, I mean, we're in 2020. I'm like, a full color indie book. I don't see a problem with it going for $8, you know, like, and like four, like I'm sorry about it. I took advantage of it. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm jumping on. I don't care. I'm a horrible person. I was like,
now I just feel stupid for not getting the autographed one, you know, because I should have.
Well, I was like, if I get the autograph one, I got to pay 5 times as much. I'm not doing that. I just run into Jeff about that. And just get him to sign it.
This came up on
sign them all now. I didn't even say that, but I just sign them all now when people still get a $4 autograph. So
I was like, I'll just swindle like Jeff on the show and just get him to sign my book.
If you're in a bad mood and haven't had your coffee, would you do a spite sketch on the back of someone's book unexpectedly and
just paint a penis like somewhere?
Look, I saved you $. That should have been $35. Happy birthday.
It's a penis on the back of the book, but Josh painted that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? That's an original Lafferty on that bitch.
Yeah. Just think how much you get for a Corbin penis on the back of a book.
Yeah, except he's dead.
He was a master at those things.
Or Giger penis, like Giger put penises on everything. Like, penis away, dude. Like,
the original
sketchbook was probably all kinds of alien penises just everywhere inside. Alien penises and vaginas with a couple of dead babies sprinkled in there.
I haven't looked at some of his stuff. It does not surprise me at all to think like, okay, the woman with the pipe in her mouth, and the elongated head, but the elongated head is really just a penis from another painting he did. And you know, it's like, so everybody's, you know, gaga over the Aliens franchise. It's like, guys, I think his development on that before they ever tapped him was, I'll just let you enjoy that. Okay.
Yeah, it's like you look at the alien from behind, and it looks like a backwards cock. You do realize, and then you look like the face hugger, right? The inside of the face hugger is obviously a vagina.
Yeah.
Like, he's not hiding any of this, dude. Like, he's just like fucking just throwing it. What are your ideas, Mr. Geiger, for aliens? Well, he's thinking like, what do you think it is? And everybody's like, that looks like a crab with a vagina in the middle.
Wait, who designed like that? Who designed the Predator? You know, because when that thing opens its mouth,
that's true.
I know when he opens his mouth, it's a vagina, right? And I'm like, but Geiger didn't do it. I think they were trying to match him a little bit, you know, and they were like a Rastafarian vagina. You know, we'll do like a Rastafarian like Predator, like alien, you know, with dreadlocks everywhere. And then when he opens his mouth, it'll be a vagina, you know. Like, somehow they sold these pretentious pricks on all of this stuff. They fucking ran with it. You know?
But anyway, so you're gearing up for number 2. Is that correct? Did I misunderstand? Like, is number 2 ever coming out?
Yeah, it it is coming out, but I am God, I'm working on another anthology right now, so
Okay.
might,
You never lost
that'll probably
interest,
come out
did you?
before.
Sometimes that happens to me.
Maybe you
where
guys are
I'll
convincing
create
me
a
to
series,
get going on
and
it.
then I'll fall out of love with that series, like right
Yeah.
after I finish the first book, and I'm like, it becomes walking through mud to get the next series done, the next issue done, right? Because I think I'm exhausted at that point because I had to come up with the concept, I had to come up with the story, I had to build the world,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden I'm just like, it's not fucking worth it. Even though I finished the first book and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like the second book, I've like with Devils, I offered the second issue of Devils as a PDF because I have no interest in finishing it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like it and then when I teamed up with Brian and Brian's like, we can rework this and make it cool again, I was like, what you got? You know, and he started throwing shit at me and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm down with that because now I don't have to think about it. You know, I don't have to think about the world. I've already given him all the tools he needs and he's just throwing story ideas at me and I don't have to exhaust my brain on that, you know. And because it is kind of exhausting, like being creative, you know, like I don't know, like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, like I hope you do another one. Do you have a writer on this or is it just you? Like,
no,
like
I'm writing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, as far as making money goes, that makes it a little easier.
A lot easier.
That's true. Yeah. I like writing myself. I mean, I just like comics. So it's like, to me, like doing comics is writing and drawing them. So I couldn't imagine wanting to even work with a writer anymore, though, you know, who knows? If somebody came along that really, really jived with, I might be up with it. But I just, you know, I like the whole process. So to me, it's like one and the same.
Yeah, at this point, I can't imagine doing anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's either do this. Like, I quit my job like 5-6 years ago. You know, because
cool.
I've always worked as an artist. You know, I just never worked in comics full time. You know, and I quit my job, and I was like, I'm either going to make it, or I'm gonna shoot myself in the face. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, there's no two ways about it, you know, but I'm not going back to this production line artwork type of thing because production line artwork can be just as bad as working at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you got your boss who has no talent whatsoever, but he's got to show that he's the boss. So he comes over to you and he's like, change that to this. But that doesn't work. It unbalances the whole thing. Don't care. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, they got to get their fingerprints on it.
Exactly.
They got to tell you what their wife thinks and all that other bullshit. Yeah, that's what used to drive me nuts.
It drove me insane, and I was like, I quit. And they were like, you quit? I was like, fuck yeah, I quit. I don't just quit. I fucking quit.
No, I can.
Then I'm sure they. Oh, sorry.
No. You're the smart one.
I was just going to say, you know, and then they give you that. Well, you're lucky to have this job. You're lucky to be in this position. You're lucky. It's like, what's me getting here? You know, how's
even
that
with
lucky?
Jobs,
like you're on my own.
You don't have a safety net. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You're in the same boat as if you were freelancing. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And plus, I think you're almost in a worse boat because you're not building your own thing.
Exactly.
You know, when I started just selling, or not even doing comics, just selling like commissions and eBay stuff and all that, it just made me realize like everything I do is for me now. Like building up a client list is like for me, and you're building that web that keeps you afloat, you know.
Well, I think that's how Frazetta did it, Boris and all those guys, is that they decided like long before, you know, they were like, one, I'm not going to work for anybody. Well, they freelance for magazines and stuff like that, but they always did their own thing. Like it was like, this is what I came up with. If you want to use it, that's fine. But if not, you know, fuck off. Yeah. But they built their own IPs and they were able to live off of those IPs when it became harder for them to paint, you know, and get stuff done. So, and I think that's where we're at now. Like we have to create our IPs and develop our IPs into something, you know. And
well, Well, unfortunately, Comic Book DB is down, so I can't just pull it up here and see, well, what else has Jeff Lafferty done and see if he's got any other IPs. So I have to ask you, like, hey, industry veteran, what else do you do on your own outside of, or what's your anthology, or I don't know. What are you passionate about these days that you're doing?
Well, it's well, I mean, the Berserkonaut definitely. I mean, I'm still working on it, so it is getting done. But the thing I'm kind of doing with I don't know why I'm saying kind of. It's just because I haven't announced it yet or whatever. But it's this anthology called the Horrible Tales of Gore, and my co-host on the Artcast named Jibber Redinger is the other artist that I'm working with, and it's just a black and white anthology of just stories that we want to tell, and so I'm working on like this Western. It's just a Western comic, so
all right.
I don't know what else to say about it at this point. Yeah,
they have a couple of books that you did. They have Doom 2099.
Yeah, I was on Doom for a while.
3 appearances on that.
Yeah,
probably the best books they put out. Covers are fun.
Everybody always liked that Spider-Man
Yeah.
one they did for $20.99.
Necromantis.
You did some Dawn. Okay.
Yeah,
That I think I just have like a pin up in that or something. Yeah, Linzer commissioned me to do, or maybe a couple of them. Yeah, the Scotty book, that little one there I did some covers and a bunch of stuff inside that one. Like Phoenix Resurrection, there was like an X-Men series I did. I don't know. So there's like a lot of spread out stuff everywhere.
And this Western contribution you're making to this anthology is just going to be pen and ink. That's it, not paint black and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of still a little bit painted, like this kind of stuff, but it's not like fully painted. Let's see if we can show it. So.
Okay.
Is
that just
ink washes and stuff?
Oh, that's cool. I love that. That's badass.
Yeah.
I like your stuff.
What kind of whites do you use on that? Do you use Prismacolor white?
Yeah, it's Prismacolor and then acrylic paint white.
Yeah.
Where I pop it out, because those Prismacolors are so touchy. It drives me nuts with them. It breaks so easy. But yeah, I don't know. It's I need to get a plan. I'm feeling so wishy-washy. I guess people haven't pinned me down on this stuff for so long. But you're right. I need to get going on a direction here. Stop screwing around. Either just end the Berserkonaut or get on with it, kind of thing. So,
well, whichever way you're going,
I hope you
whatever.
don't end Berserkonaut.
Correct. I don't want to pressure you any further, but I also hope you don't. But whichever way you're going, if you want to get on some streams, give us a tap on the shoulder.
Yeah, Michael Bancroft. Go check out Mike's channel, and you'll probably get a bump in sales in that. But as soon as you get 2 done, and if you need help, just hit me up. I'm an open book. I'll help you out. And if you decide you're not going to finish Berserkonaut, you can always send me the pages for the second issue. And
just send him an outline of the plot and some details, and then whatever pages you got done, and he'll make it look like you did the whole thing yourself.
Exactly. I'll run a campaign. Send me a PDF of the first book too, and I'll go ahead and make a bunch of money off of it.
yeah.
An Angry Green Boss tossed in something we missed a little while ago. He says the alien is meant to represent the fear of rapists, and sure, no problem. All right,
The fear of rapists. I think that's what Species was. Where Species was raping all those men.
Yeah.
It's nuts, dude. I was like, what are they thinking? That shit would honestly, I think Species, the movie, would probably fly now better than back in the day, because they're like feminists taking their womanhood back by raping.
I know. Yeah, I'd be all about that.
So hot. I think it's time to end this travesty.
Yeah. Jeff, thanks for being on.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like talking to you guys.
You're welcome back. Just go ahead and, like I said, send me like a follow on Twitter, and I'll add
Sure.
you to a couple of groups in there, and maybe we can help you spread the word of the Berserkonaut.
Cool.
And I'm serious about finishing the second one. Like, if you need any help with that, just let me know, and I'll make the room.
Bust out the paints. All right, come over tomorrow and we'll get going on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's the internet. We can do it. You just fax it to me. I mean, email it. Fax it.
I like that.
Email it, and yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. I mean, it's copy paper, right? I mean, we're just
Oh, if you get out of the fax machine, it'd probably be better paper than what I'm painting on. So.
And just hold on for 1 second, because we're going to tell these fools bye. See you, fools.